Good evening, everybody! Welcome to round 3 of International Sim Racing Organization's 1986 F1 Series, coming to you from Imola. Cars are finishing their qualifying session. I am Jason White, your play-by-play announcer, and we're set for an interesting matchup today between Wilkes and Grant Radal. And I'm joined in the booth by Alberto Ibañez. Alberto, good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
And Ryan Walker. Ryan, thanks so much for being with us again. We really appreciate it.
Look, good evening, everyone, and yeah, thanks, Jason. It's good to be back.
So here we are at a racetrack that really is one of everyone's absolute favorite circuits, Imola. I don't know anybody who doesn't like this track, especially in this format. This is the Enzo and Dino Ferrari circuit. It's named after them. This is a little over a 3-mile circuit. This has the chicanes from 1986, obviously. It's a track that unfortunately is stained by the loss of Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna, but still, I think historically this is one of people's absolute favorites. Would you guys agree?
Oh yes, for sure. It's a very scenic track. It goes up and down. It has very different type of corners. It's in the middle of the Italian landscape, even if it's a country of its own, which is San Marino. But for the Tifosi, it's anyway something in the in the homeland anyway. It's beautiful all around, and it's seen a lot of historic battles. Very interesting races here.
Yeah, it's one of my favourites because you've got basically so many different types of corners. You've got like straights, and you've got chicanes, and you've got hairpins. It's got a bit of everything. It's technical. You've got so many famous corners, especially like Villeneuve, and then you've got the turn 7 hairpin Tosa, and then Piratella, Aquaminerale, and then you've got the run down to Ravazza and the Vari Antibassa chicane as well. So some iconic corners.
It was actually conceived as a very high speed track, but with time, as it has happened to many other venues, it has been slowed down by chicanes because of accident. The cars, obviously, with technology improving, getting much quicker, and it was obviously necessary that the track slowed everything down. But like I say, still, I would say it's a bit like a small Hockenheim, the old Hockenheim that was also like stop and go, always accelerating between chicanes and on a very scenic landscape. But this time you also add the changes in elevations, which also adds a factor, and some high-speed turns that are already where you need a download, but you need downforce to support you, as opposed with Hockenheim, where everybody really goes with the lowest possible wings. Here, you need a compromise, and that's also something very important.
Yeah, and I know that we've been saying this a lot, and people might be getting sick of hearing it, but fuel management is a very important thing, and this is a track where it's definitely going to be a concern. This and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, I think, are going to be the circuits where fuel management is of premium importance, because you're going from very, very fast straights and curves down to almost crawling and then back up again, and that consumes a lot of fuel. So people who are hard chargers and like to use the boost knob, like say Grant Radal, they're going to have to think about how much they want to use their boost very carefully, because if they're not prudent about how they use it, they could find themselves out of fuel before the race is over.
Yeah, it's going to be. And we've got today a very interesting situation developing, and I should brief our viewers about this because it's something that could easily go unnoticed. But anybody who has been following the previous during the week, all the time, how the practice has been going on in the server and all that, we'll immediately see that the Ferraris, they were much quicker than we were expecting they are today. And I got word that the situation that is developing is actually that the temperatures, because we're using here real-time progression in the track, the temperatures are playing a big role. And for those that have been practicing on low wings and that have been doing their setup and everything based on what has been going on all over the way, they are in for a nasty surprise today. And we've seen already the Ferraris completely out of pace. I think they were caught unaware by that. And we see that other cars that were not so quick during the week, like the Lotus, for example, have been able to take the advantage from that. It's going to be very interesting because it's not going to affect just the pace of the cars. It's going to affect a lot the temperatures in the tires. So those who have been doing a setup for softer tires might be actually suffering a lot. So watch out for the tire management today.
That's a really excellent point. We're going to be talking about differences in the cars as we go along. Some of them that you'll be able to see on track, and others that were happening more in real life. But let's while the server is recycling right now, evidently they're making some last minute adjustments before we go to the warm up session. So while we're waiting for the server to come back up, let's take a look at the point situation. This is the Drivers' Championship standings after round two. Anders Nilsson is in the lead with 15 points. Richard Wilkes, who won round two, is in second place with 9 points. Juha Boss is in third with 7 points. David Jakes is in fourth with 6 points. And Dave Miller, who drives Williams once again, is in fifth with 4 points. In the constructors' standings, Scuderia Ferrari is in first with 15 points. JPS Team Lotus is in second with 11 points. Benetton Formula is in third with 8 points. Marlboro McLaren International is in fourth with 7 points. And then it's a tie for fifth between Equipe Ligier and Canon Williams Honda with 4 points apiece. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. Last I looked at the qualifying results, and I believe I still have the timing on my second screen here. Richard Wilkes was on the pole with Grant Riddall alongside. That could prove to be a very volatile front row, gentlemen.
Well, they have the very powerful Renault engine, so it's no surprise that they are there at the top at qualifying. And yeah, we've seen that Grant has been using for the first two races the tactic of trying to overtake and then hold everybody behind while he takes care of the fuel by using the boost up and down. But well, we already said it last time, and it bears repeating. It has failed, and it has failed in a big way for 2 times. So we gotta see what Grant is going to pull out here. Is he going to stick to that strategy and try to make it work finally and see if he's proven right, or is he going to try something different?
Well, it hasn't been working for Grant so far, but his dad has been having a decent time in the second Ligier. So maybe the two of them have been pooling their efforts and coming up with a plan that'll work better here. But I think, for my money, I think the team to watch at this race is JPS Team Lotus. Richard Wilkes definitely bounced back from the disappointment of Rio to win last week, and I correctly predicted that he was going to win. So I very rarely get those things right. So I'm happy I got it right this
Well, you
time.
never know. I've been talking with Wilkes before the race, and he said that, yeah, well, very much as it happened to Ayrton Senna during this season, he had the pace for qualifying, but he has a very draggy car. He has a higher wing setup on harder tires. We're going to see that, and that's going to mean a lot of fuel consumption. So I think he's going to try to maximize his options, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if what we see today from the Lotus team, especially from Wilkes, is that he's going to take a non-aggressive approach, a discreet way of running the race, and he starts dropping positions as soon as the race starts, but then we see him come back towards the end of it.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens to people's tires over the course of the race. You mentioned the compound selection is going to be very critical. The hard braking and the sweeping turns, especially, there are lots of. This is a rarity in Formula One as a track because it's one of the few tracks that runs counterclockwise, I believe. And so you're going to have a lot of pressure and a lot of heat building in that right front. And it's going to be interesting to see how that affects people throughout the run. Because if you abuse the tires, it's definitely going to be a problem. All right, so the briefing apparently is going on right now. Let's take a look real briefly at what is coming up in the next few weeks here at ISO. A week ago, we had a really, really interesting race at Ontario, and now we're going back USAC racing next Sunday. It's the Coors 200. from a brand new build of Texas World Speedway. This is a 200-mile race, as evidenced by the 200 number in the title. Green flag at 2000 CET. Lots of exciting action at this race, I'm sure, Alberto.
Yeah, and it looks like, I don't know, quite odd to see nowadays the announcement of a race sponsored by a liquor seller. But anyway, that's the 70s for you. We
Mm-hmm.
get several races sponsored like that. And yeah, it's going to be a fantastic race. It's going to be quite exciting, quite amazing. And I can tell you something. Well, you already know that, Jason, but for our viewers, it's damn scary to drive those things in that track. It's really going
Yes.
to be hairy. Lots of
Mm-hmm.
action ahead.
You are on the edge, literally, the whole way around. There are very few places that you can rest, and you have to have 360-degree vision uh, around you to make sure you don't run into anyone. And these cars, they don't like to change direction at speed in normal circumstances, but when they're going 220 plus miles per hour around the banks at Michigan, and you have all of that centrifugal force pushing down on the springs, the full load on the car really does not like to change direction quickly. So it's going to be I wouldn't doubt that we're going to see some incidents along the way that happen simply because people can't change trajectory in time. But it's definitely going to be an interesting contest, very different from the contest we just had at Ontario. So we look forward to that race. Also, coming up another week following this Course 200, we go back F1 86 racing on March 7th, and this is going to be the Grand Prix de Monaco, a track that everybody loves, a track that equalizes the field quite well, and I don't even want to hazard a guess who's going to win this one. It's anybody's race as far as I'm concerned. Coverage
Oh
for
yeah,
that
the
one.
cars are going to be pretty equalized here because
Yeah.
it's a driver's track, obviously, and the performance of the car doesn't count half as much as it usually does. So it's going to be quite interesting also.
Yeah, green light for that one at 2000 CET, but we'll be beginning our coverage at 1930 per usual. And then the following week, we go back to the DRM series, which is a very short schedule and it's spread out pretty far this season. The round 2 of 6, and this is one of our longer races. It says 1,000 kilometers, but in truth, we're running half of that. It's more of a 500-mile or a 500-kilometer race at the Nürburgring, the modern Nürburgring. And this should be a very interesting race, both in terms of Group C action and Group B action. Check the forum for the schedule there. There may be a different starting time given the fact that it's a longer race. But that's a look at what's coming up.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of extra cars available because this is one of the endurance events, and it's 1,000 kilometers shortened, so to speak. But the reason it's shortened is because we're driving solo. So in this situation, you're driving the same 500 kilometers that a team would be doing, every driver would be doing in a team. So to some extent, we can say that it's more or less the same.
Mm-hmm. All right, so going back to the circuit, it appears that the briefing is still going on, but as soon as somebody goes out on the track, we can take you for a tour of the circuit. This is a very nice build of Imola, I must say. This comes with AMS. It's one of the tracks that's built into the game platform itself, and it's really, really well rendered, very well modeled, and I think it's going to look really good on the screen today. We'd like to welcome everybody who's watching on YouTube. We hope that you're safe and doing well wherever you are in the world, and we hope you're ready for some exciting F186 action here. Turbo era stuff here, International Sim Racing Organization. Oh, we also have a trivia question we can talk about real quick. The trivia question for you to ponder that we will reveal the answer to later on. In April 1963, Imola hosted its first F1 race as a non-championship event. Who won this race? Was it A, Jack Brabham, B, Graham Hill, or C, Jim Clark? We'll have the answer later in the broadcast. Okay, as you could probably hear, cars are heading out here. There they go. All right, so cars are heading out onto the track for what will be the final warm-up session. And as you can see, there's a lot of clag and dust in some parts of the circuit. That's probably going to play a role, especially at the start. Lots of sparks in the cars too, Alberto and Ryan, because they're on full fuel load. So that's going to be a consideration.
Yeah, with the fuel, they are once heavy, obviously. So they are scraping the ground, and they will be sensing now how low they can go.
Yeah, absolutely. I done some laps around here during the week, and I don't know why, but it's one of those. Anytime I lap around here anyway, going automobilista, it just feels like it gives me that Sunday drive feeling. You just want to drive around here all the time. It's just one of those tracks. It's just got that nice flow effect to it.
And that's quite a statement when you consider the fact that this is the version with all the chicanes. It still has that flow, even though it's been modernized by this time. Considering that, it's pretty amazing that it still has that flow. So we're on board now with Brian Janik as he's following John Team. And we'll have a look as he's coming around here to start one lap. He's heading up to the very Antabassa right now, and a little left-right here. Oh, well, of course, he's going into the pits, so we're going to find somebody else now to follow. Here's David Saber in his Data General Tyrrell. Right, left into the Varianta Bassa, and let's see if he makes the turn. Yes, he does. Okay, here we go. We'll go for a lap with David Saber. Accelerating onto the pit straight here. Across the start-finish line under the bridge, and now you sweep a bit to the left, and now here is the infamous Tamburello corner. Very fast. A lot of cars will be taking this flat. Exiting Tamburello. And now you're flat out through Villeneuve curve, and now you have to brake hard for this left-hander, Tosa.
Very
sharp.
Complicated braking in this
extremely. And now you accelerate up this hill to the next corner called Piratella, I believe. Yes, and then down this little short hill to the Acqua Minerale chicane, literally mineral water. Right, left, right, and it's a bit of a challenge to get in the power here as they're climbing a hill and turning right as you apply it. Back to the left, and yeah, the elevation change very evident from this onboard shot. Now downshifting for the Variante Alta, which is kind of a cumbersome corner, really hard to get through there without nicking a curb or losing a lot of momentum. Now you're heading downhill again to a double apex left-hander called Rivazza. Sorry, we dropped our feed there for a second because someone came on the server. Rivazza is divided into two separate left-hand corners. Now accelerating up to the final chicane, Varianta Bassa. Let's go for one more lap with David here, assuming he goes for another lap. Yes, he is. Second part of Varianta Bassa, accelerating once again up through the gears. Crossing the start-finish line, there's Brian Janik emerging from the pits. Going through Tamburello one more time. You can see he's hugging the inside there, trying to use all the track he can, setting up for Villeneuve curve, and then the very complicated braking and downshifting for Tosa. Heading left. Up the hill to Piratella. Very scenic track, Alberto.
Very scenic, yes, as we mentioned before, and very Mediterranean too, as you can tell from the vegetation and the general color palette of the surroundings. This is certainly not a track that you would think it's located in Northern Europe or the Northern United States, for that matter. It's very Mediterranean.
I think one thing that definitely is going to happen as the race progresses, Ryan, with the tires, is that accelerating out of these corners, if people are not careful, they're going to loop the car. We saw that happen with a couple of people in the background with cold tires, but how big of a problem do you think looping the car is going to be as the tires wear down?
I think it'll be a big problem if you're too aggressive in the early stages, or maybe just too aggressive in general on the tires, just basically putting loads of load on the tires. especially in the high-speed corners. I think you're just going to wear them really quickly, and maybe towards the end of the race as well. Drivers are going to have to be very careful not to overdrive or be too aggressive, and maybe just kind of use not the courses, but just kind of like careful approach on the tyres and try and look after them. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see some of these drivers maybe go with the hard tyres and maybe try and just go as long as possible, or maybe start with maybe like soft tyres and maybe just try and go quickly as possible, and then jump onto the hard tyres for the end of the race. But it'll be fascinating to see.
And I've got some nice, interesting information for you. You can see that the sky is now way more cloudy than it was before. It's obviously not completely overcast, but it has surfaced to hide the sun, and the track temperature has dropped to 19 degrees, gentlemen. That's a lot less than we got in qualifying, and this is going to hurt people who are basically going for a higher wing and higher, stiffer tire setup, like the Lotus, namely, and it's going to probably benefit the Ferraris.
Sauce for the goose.
Yes, soft tires will probably be in order here, but we'll see how it changes for the race still, because we're only the warm-up session and we're some minutes away. And the interesting thing here will be the disruption of the of the ambient temperature has caused a shift in the pecking order during the qualifying, and now we might find ourselves with people that have a lot of race pace but are actually behind those that qualified in front.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. It definitely is bearing out that there's a bit of a different pecking order already, because Dave Miller has the best time in race trim so far, with Del Piccolo in second in the Benetton, David Jakes in third, also in a Benetton, so that's interesting. Grant Riddall is fourth, Richard Wilkes fifth, Coxon sixth, and Sabre, who you're watching right now, is in seventh. The Tyrrell team sporting a new sponsor on that car for this race, Kelemata, which I believe is an Italian pharmaceutical company. Oh, Sabre loses the car, and yeah, that's I dare say we're going to see a few people do that in this race, misjudging the shutoff point for Tosa there.
Yeah, Alberto mentioned something about a high downforce as well. Do you think of this track, such as Imola and some of the straights, would it be a surprise if some of these drivers maybe go with not a really low downforce set, but maybe kind of just use a little bit of low downforce for straight line speed? Maybe someone like Grant Riddall, for example?
Well, possibly, but I don't know. It's the change in temperature in the track was not something that I was prepared to consider. So, Richard Coxon loops his car, and that was chiefly because of the curb that he hit there. But it's just interesting, all these elements that are coming together to influence the outcome. I mean, we can guess what we think is going to happen, but really it's we have learned, I think, in the first two rounds in this series to expect the unexpected.
And yeah, we were talking about just a few moments ago about David Jakes as well, and I think if he has a clean race, he could be right up there, because he was on the pace at Jerez after his issues earlier in the race at Jerez, and I think if the front runners have issues, he could be a dark horse, if you like.
Mm-hmm. No, I absolutely agree, and I've just noticed, Alberto can confirm for me, but I believe we have Chief Wiggum in the YouTube chat.
He is, yes, he is
fantastic.
The creator of these models. Hello, Chief, and we're really glad to have you here around. You can watch your models in all the glory that Automobilista permits. We are very thankful for you to allowing us to use them. We hope you're happy with the work we did on them.
Yeah, Chief gave us permission to use his models in this mod. We are ecstatic at the response that we've gotten, and we want to absolutely give all the credit in the world to Chief for his great modeling skills, and we're really thrilled with how the series has gone so far, and we thank you very much for your help and your creative partnership in this mod, and we hope you enjoy today's race.
Okay, and speaking of the unexpected, I must say, Ruben Fernandez unfortunately won't be able to start the race due to technical problems, but we have Johnny Aces taking over, because there he was, absolutely ready.
Look at that. Johnny Aces is going to be driving an Osella. There he is. There he is. Oh, excellent. We're going to have to keep a close eye on Jonathan. All right. Well, that's another bonus right there. I had not expected that Johnny Aces. And there he goes out onto the track. Mr. 7th place, but I don't know. I would not be surprised if he could wrestle a good performance out of an Osella today. We'll see.
Well, certainly one of the quality wildcard drivers that you can have.
Oh,
I
yes.
think Mr. Osella should be pretty happy to have him aboard.
Yeah, it's a good acquisition considering, and this is a really nice shot here too. Again, this is an AMS build track, but we get chopper shots occasionally that look really nice. So I think visually this is going to be a really fun race to watch. All right, well, we got about 16 minutes to go. This is a good opportunity to pause for our commercial break. We will be right back after these messages. Stay right where you are.
Dodge Daytona Turbo Z. It'll be an
expressway to your heart.
Get real American values with up to $1,000 back on most 86 American-made Dodge cars.
When Domino's Pizza delivers, quality comes first. We custom bake each pizza with carefully selected, skillfully prepared ingredients. Taste the quality. One call does it all.
You know, there's lots of reasons I bought my new Toyota Celica. In the daytime, it's the 16-valve 2-liter engine. And at night, boy, do I look good. In the daytime, it's 135 horsepower, makes me feel real special. And at night, boy, do I look good. In the daytime, Celica's front-wheel drive helps me handle the road. And at night, boy, do I look good.
The Toyota Celica GTS.
For anything more, Toyota.
Now, photography enters the computer age with the revolutionary new Canon T70. Computer programmed to give you all the answers with total push-button control. Auto loading, auto wind on, auto wind off. That's the incredible Canon T70. So advanced, it's got to be simple. Canon Formula One cameras.
Good morning, class. Cocology. The study of good taste. In fact, the taste that stands the test.
Yes.
The test where new Coke takes on Pepsi, i.e.
That's as in?
the new Coke Pop Quiz. Cocologist dismissed. All others pay attention.
When Coke did take on Pepsi in nationwide tests, more people chose Coke over Pepsi. Prove it to yourself. You'll see why more people are choosing the taste of Coke. Catch the wave. Coke.
Speed, heat, endurance. The triple test of NASCAR racing. Quaker State Motor Oil is here. Performing, protecting, flowing continuously under extreme conditions. And it's the same oil you can buy right off the shelf. Quaker State technology delivers protection in your car and on the track.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Taurus, now a North American car with the shape and the feel we've never seen before. Taurus, now there is a personal car that has exactly what we've been looking for.
For all of us who will not compromise, Ford listened. Ford created Taurus for us.
Taurus! Taurus for us! Taurus for us!
Since the title Gasoline Fuel Economy Champion was first awarded, one manufacturer has dominated the competition, winning a remarkable 8 out of 13 times. Presenting the Honda Civic CRX HF, one of the best in its field, again.
The finer things. Happily, some are affordable, like Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. Grey Poupon has the classic quality of the original French Dijon recipe created centuries ago. A distinctively delicious taste for meats, salad dressings, and sauces. So enjoy one of life's finer pleasures.
Pardon, monsieur, est-ce que vous avez du Grey Poupon?
Mais bien sûr. Grey Poupon, one of life's finer pleasures.
Radio Shack understands that a computer purchase is a serious personal and business decision. But what's really important is the company behind the computer. At Radio Shack, when you buy a computer, you buy a company. A company committed to technology, service, and support. We'll be here when you need us, with a telephone hotline, training, education, and excellent service. Tandy Computers, in business, for business. Tandy, clearly superior.
And we are back. So we're watching Jonathan here from the chopper. How's he doing so far, gentlemen? Oh, just as I asked that, he spins out. Oh, shoot.
Well, he's trying to get to grips with the car. I mean, he had practiced a bit during the week, but obviously this being called last minute to jump into the car is not the easiest thing to do.
No, I suppose
the ones
not.
that have been having an impressive pace so far, and I'm really like, well, amazed at how well they are doing in this warm-up is the Benetton guys, Gabriele Del Piccolo and David Jakes. They are really flying in this session so far.
Yeah, I think that's really telling. Yeah, they're 1 and 2 on the chart. And how much of that would you put on the shoulders of the temperature change on the track, Alberto?
Well, it's been quite dramatic, so it wouldn't surprise me. The Benettons, these have the factory BMW engine, which is very powerful. And that's something that should be quite helpful here, because you've got a section around the start-finish line with Tamburello, which is really quick, and you need all the power that you can use, and the Benettons are really shining there.
What about you, Ryan? What do you think accounts for the Benettons asserting themselves in race trim?
I think it could be like some little things, like maybe like the track temperature or the cooler track temperature, say maybe suiting their setup a lot more, or suiting the car a lot more. But I think it's just, well, David Jakes, we know how quick he can be in an open wheel car, but his teammate Gabriele Del Piccolo is doing well at the top. And also another name as well I just saw in the top 10 as well as David Saber in that Data General Team Tyrrell car.
Yeah, indeed. I think all these elements together are going to combine for a really interesting race. Knowing all that we know now, gentlemen, if you were going to place bets on who's going to win this race, who do you think you would bet on? We'll start with you, Ryan.
That's such a tough one, but I think I was tempted to say Richard Wilkes, but I'm going to go the other direction and be different and say, if he judging by form last week or 2 weeks ago at Jerez, I think Anders Nielsen could be the one to watch.
Mm-hmm. Alberto, what about you?
I'm going to say with this complete turnaround, thanks to the tire temperatures and the track, if this persists, then I would be looking at David Jakes or Gabriele Del Piccolo actually being able to clinch a victory here. I'm going to place my bet on Gabriele because he has had a low profile so far in the season, unfortunately, while coming to grips with the car. But his talent is absolutely out of the question. So if his Benetton works, and this is one of his home races, then I think he's in there for the win.
All right, well, I'm going to put my money on David Jakes in this race because I'm trying to think of, there's so many elements here to take into consideration. Tire choice, the changing track temperature, the fuel consideration, and Jakes is one of those drivers that is able to stay calm under pressure and deal with all those things with seeming ease. So my personal feeling is that of the two Benetton drivers, he's the one that probably has the best shot at winning today. It's just because of how consistent his performance is. But we'll see. All right, so we got about 7 minutes and change to go in this race. And Alberto, what other tidbits of information can you bring us from the paddock? You've been talking to the drivers during the week, I'm sure. Any surprising tidbits that you could share with us that you were not expecting to hear?
Not so far. I would say that people have been, like I said, developing very specific setups, and it's obvious that just a change of temperature in a single session is not going to change their mind. They are already committed. I mean, so it's going, and that's the interesting part. It's going to be a gamble, because everybody has been setting up the car in a certain way. So if the gamble comes out well, if the track temperature and the ambient and all that sticks to the plan, then some people are going to be very quick and some other are going to be disappointed. And if it doesn't, we're going to be seeing here quite some turnaround of events. Because I tell you, if these cars have not completely dialed for the conditions of the track, it's absolutely very complicated to drive them, and we're going to see many surprises there.
One of the interesting things I would point out, too, in the research that we did for this race, and I'm going to page here to the Williams team, in real life, there was some speculation going on that not everything was above board at Team Lotus, and that they perhaps were doing things that were, shall we say, creative interpretation of the rules. They apparently were using a hydraulic setup pioneered by Brabham at the time of the rigid side skirts. Hydraulic jacks could be seen on the top of the shock absorbers with pipes connected to a box mounted in front of the steering wheel. The aim being to run the car as close as possible to the ground and gain additional ground effect, even with a flat bottom. The interesting parallel to this, where I mentioned Williams to start with, Enrique Scalabroni, an Argentine ex-Dallara engineer responsible for the revised suspension and bodywork of the FW10 in 1985, was present at this race in 1986 and spent most of his weekend monitoring the Lotus pit. So, so there was some espionage going on, or just, this is me watching you, watching me, watching you kind of stuff. So, everyone trying to gain some kind of technical advantage. But historically, that was what was going on at this race in 1986. Those of us who are versed in F1 history won't find that abundantly surprising. But it's the nature of competition.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of the like when I grew up watching Formula 1 as well, probably in the late 90s and early 2000s. There was always, this is probably around about the time that Ferrari and McLaren was at the top of their game in Formula 1, and there was always political games being played, if you like, and just both of them would try and gain an advantage, or Ferrari most of the time anyway would try and gain an advantage any way that they could by playing politics or just pushing the boundaries. So it's always been a thing in Formula 1.
Yep. And every time that a rule is changed in racing, you can bet that people are just going to find a way to get the speed back that they lost by the new rules. Like, for example, in IndyCar racing, they one year I remember they took away a good chunk of the downforce. I think it was in 1990. And IndyCar designers just simply responded by making the cars slimmer so they would cut through the air faster. which of course made it very hard for the people inside the cars. They had little room for their legs and everything, but it's funny how the if you're changing rules in a series, you cannot treat the car designers and their cars like inert blocks of wood that don't change. They're going to adapt. They will change. So it's
and they also in Formula 1 as well. I think it was this is like well beyond the 80s. I think it was 2000 or after 2004, and then for the 2005 season they took away 25% of the downforce. But like you said, Jason, the engineers and designers managed to rein that down for us back in by finding, how can I put it, loopholes.
Yeah, and that's what you do. I mean, I've heard countless descriptions in all series of people. Like when you get the rule book from the governing body, the first thing you should do is just read it cover to cover, and just think about it, read it again, read it again, and just look for things that aren't specific. Look for areas that are not defined clearly enough, and that is where you can find a possible avenue to work within. And if you don't do it, everybody else will. So it's just the nature of competition. It's a necessity.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely, and it's kind of one of those things. Some teams don't want to try and find loopholes because they might think it's cheating. But it's like you say, it's one of those things that you've got to move with the times. Otherwise, you'll just get left behind.
Yeah, I was really amazed by the anecdote that we got from Mario Andretti in our interview with him a few weeks back, where he'd said that Alfa Romeo refused to do the lowering of the car trick to be competitive with the other teams because they were afraid of getting caught. And that just seems just bizarre to me, because everybody else was doing it, and Mario asserted that driving the car and testing with the ride height at what everybody else was doing, the car was instantly quick. So that's too bad that they that kind of dynamic existed. But nice guys don't always finish first. There's the proof. Yeah. All right, so we got about 20 seconds and change to go here, and looking at the times on the chart, Dave Miller is fastest in this session. Richard Wilkes, okay, that's interesting. Richard Wilkes ended up coming up to second, but you've got that Benetton duo of Del Piccolo and Jakes in third and fourth. Grant is in fifth. So this is going to be a really interesting start. I mean, if Grant isn't turning his boost knob all the way up at the start of the race, I'm going to be hugely surprised if he doesn't do that. But trying to get off the line ahead. But I don't know. We'll see if we're going to be in for another cork in the bottle routine here. We'll see.
At any rate, turn one is going to be really complicated because, as we've seen already when we were following a car in the broadcast, it's a very hard braking that you have to do while cornering, and that puts obviously the tires on the absolute edge of addition, not just longitudinally but also laterally. So a spin is easy to happen. And with so many cars going there very quick down to turn one, it's going to be really hairy for many people.
All right, so 60 laps are on the board, or 2 hours, whichever comes first. Stand by for round number 3 of this series, the San Marino Grand Prix. We're so glad to have all of you with us on YouTube.
And would you know it, temperature in the track is again up,
Oh my
22
goodness.
degrees.
Good grief.
Lovely.
Okay, so stand by for real craziness. All right, so the cars are coming to the
Hard
grid now.
tires for the Lotus here.
That's probably why people are delaying coming to the grid. They're probably changing their tires.
Oh yeah.
If they're
Grant
smart,
is
they
on-
did.
Grant is on softs. Pay attention because this is going to be a big road. The
Whoa.
other Lotus is on intermediates.
Okay.
And the Ferrari boys, they are on super softs and softs.
Oh goodness. All right, off we go.
Dave Miller on softs.
We are on the parade lap now. On the pole, Richard Wilkes, John Player, Special Team Lotus. In second is Grant Radal, Equipe Ligier. Third, Tim Hilla in the other John Player Team Lotus. Oh shoot, we went back to I think we decided to restart or regrid the cars.
Yes, someone got a disco.
Okay. All right. So does that mean we're going to go back to the warm-up session to let them back in, or are we just going to go ahead and start from here? Interesting.
Yeah, they're waiting for Adam Hackman to join again also.
Mm-hmm. Well, we may have to recycle the server here. Yeah, we're going back to we are going back to the warm-up, so this is going to take a second to get things sorted. But going through the information that we have now, we talked about the Tyrrell team for a bit. Their car has not. They had in real life there was an 015 Tyrrell that was damaged at the previous race and is now repaired. Yeah, there they are. The engine cover has been modified to accept Renault engines with revised plenum chambers. No news about that regarding the other Renault runners, so I wonder if that's something that was specific to Tyrrell. But in any case, we'll have to see if the Renault engines in the Tyrrell can compete with the other cars. As here comes Vadim Tasiak out onto the track. I guess he figures, hey, if we're going to be delayed, I may as well get in more practice. So.
Yeah, and it looks like Adam Hackman's had technical issues as well, because he said that Automobilista has freezed up 3 times on him.
Well, one thing that we've been pointing out to people who race in this series that given the detail of the cars and everything, that the best thing to do is to run them in the race when everybody's online with a minimum of high detail for yourself and high detail for the opponents. So hopefully that's what he's got it set to. If that's not the case, that would definitely account for him the game freezing up on him repeatedly. So maybe someone needs to check with him and make sure that he's got that in order. But in any case, it's funny because sim racing, gentlemen, has really been exposed to an audience that it didn't necessarily have before. Lots of increased interest in it because of the pandemic, lots of people at home, but also sim racing has had to compete with web traffic with a lot of other people. So I mean, don't forget that we're competing for bandwidth with people who are watching Netflix and Amazon and all kinds of stuff and sports. So it's there's that to consider as well, and it depends on where you are in the world. So technical issues are bound to crop up occasionally.
We're 1 minute away. They're going to be restarting. It's sad for Adam Hackman, but as in real life, sometimes you get a driver who has a technical problem and the car has to be withdrawn from the grid in the last moment.
Yeah, it's too bad. Our YouTube chat is on the subject of the Coors 200 next week. I can think of 2 drivers who are definitely in the hot seat for next week, and that would be the 2 drivers in the Penske team after our abysmal performances at Ontario. The captain is not happy with us, and we have to right the ship, so to speak. So I've been getting dirty looks from him in the paddock at Texas. He's not happy. So we gotta make up for lost points and lost TV time for Norton Abrasives and Gould.
Yeah, I heard another driver's in good form as well that Penske could look at is someone called Little Al.
All right.
Well, you're driving for the only team over on the grid to fire a USAC champion just because he didn't get any wins for his championship.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I'm not driving that car. That's Adam's car. But I don't feel particularly safe right now. I've got to up my game quite a lot. All right. So we're waiting to make sure that everybody is on the server here, and then we'll be moving to the race session. Okay. I believe we're going to the race session now. Yes, we are. Okay. Third time's the charm. What does the track temperature say now?
Good question, because there is a bit of a random factor.
Yeah.
It's even hotter.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
24 degrees.
All right.
Heading into the midday and the clouds are gone.
Well,
because as soon as the clouds are gone, the sun is shining and it's heating up the black tarmac. So that's only going to favor Wilkes. And from what I've seen from the attempted starting grid before, the Benettons that were so quick, they were running on softs. And if the track temperature is high, those tires are not going to like it.
Yeah, so maybe look at everyone here like moving their tires around, just making sure everybody doing the last minute checks to make sure that the wheels plugged in, everything's ready to go. It's funny, even though you've checked it, you may have checked it 10 times in the warm-up, but you're going to do it again anyway.
Interesting. Benetton moved to mediums in the rear.
I thought they might do something like that. All right.
At least Gabriele. No, sorry, at least Jakes, not Gabriele.
Okay. So let's go through the grid now. On the pole is Richard Wilkes, John Player, Special Team Lotus. In second, Grant Ridal, Equipe Ligier. Third, Tim Hilla, John Player, Special Team Lotus. Fourth, Anders Nilsson for Scuderia Ferrari. The Tifosi are pulling for him and his teammate today. Fifth, Dave Miller. It is Miller time for the Cannon Williams Honda team. That's what they hope. Sixth is Richard Coxon in the other Scuderia Ferrari. Seventh is Ray Ridal in the other Equipe Ligier entry. Eighth is David Jakes, Benetton Formula. And ninth is his teammate, Gabriel Del Piccolo. 10th, the Detroit Demon, Brian Janik in the Motor Racing Development's Brabham BMW. 11th, Juha Boss in the Marlboro McLaren International entry number 1. 12th, Cesarius Lipinski in the first of the West Zaxpeed entries. 13th, John Team for the Team Haas USA Lola. Bruno Chacon in the other Marlboro McLaren is 14th. 15th for Jules Bouchard in the other Team Haas entry. 16th, Vadim Tasiak, Data General Team Tyrrell. 17th, Bruno Paggiola in the Minardi Team car, number 24. 18th, K.O. McHeels in the second Motor Racing Developments car. 19th is David Saber in the other Tyrrell. 20th, Luciano Rocha in the Ocella Squadra Course entry. 21st, Tomas Matusik in the other Minardi. 22nd is David Yunt, Barclay Arrows BMW. 23rd, Mike Olson in the number 14 West Zaxpeed Racing entry. 24th, Francois Remen in the Barclay Arrows BMW. And rounding out the field, I believe, is Jonathan Asserclinth, Johnny Aces, in the second Ocella Squadra Course entry. That's your grid.
And it's interesting to see that during the warm-up lap, Wilkes, who is on the hard tires, is driving there steadily, not really bothering that much about heating them up, while Grant, who is on softer tires, is very nervous all the time, waving left, right, and trying to get some heat into them. I mean, he's going all for it, that's for sure.
Onto the grid now comes our pole sitter, Richard Wilkes, rolling up to the line. He's going to want to be on that grid as little as possible because these cars do not have onboard fans of any kind. They do not cool themselves. They rely on the air coming through the radiator. So this is time that the engine temperature is going up and up and up and up and up. So they are definitely hoping to get off the grid as quickly as possible. Cars still streaming through. You can see them in the background. Look for the last blue car of... There's Jonathan coming in. So as soon as his car comes to a stop, we should have starter's orders. Watch for Richard Wilkes' name to flicker in the left-hand corner. That'll mean we're under starter's orders now. Stand by for the start of the San Marino Grand Prix. Here come the lights. And the race is underway. Lots of wheel spin. Richard Wilkes gets away from the grid, and it looks like everybody's doing okay. Wow, that was a brilliant start from Wilkes. Grant Ridal is in second, and then you have one of the Ferraris in third. I believe it's Nilsson, followed by Ray Ridal, and then Tim Hilla. But look at the difference in distance as they're coming up to Tosa. Watching very carefully here to make sure that nobody has any sudden braking issues, but it appears everybody's getting through the first lap without too much trouble. Johnny Ace is already up 2 places. Wilkes is in the lead. Grant Ridal is in second. Tim Hilla third. Anders Nilsson fourth. Dave Miller is in fifth. Coxon sixth. Ray Ridal seventh. David Jakes is in eighth. Gabriel Del Piccolo ninth. And Brian Janik is 10th. They are through the Aqua Minerale for the first time. Heading up the hill now. So Wilkes got the start he wanted. So now the question is, can Grant Ridal counterattack in one of these long straights? And he's got Nilsson right there with him.
And will he do it? because that's the other question. He might as well think that if Wilkes has enough rhythm, it will be safer in this race to follow him in the slipstream and save fuel, and save the best for the last.
Riding on board now with Grant Riddall as he follows Wilkes. We'll see what happens as they come through the Varianta Bassa here and into the main straight, as this will be his first opportunity to slipstream Wilkes without the harried nature of the start. Exiting here, we'll see what happens. Oh, Wilkes pulls away, so maybe there is a different game plan in the Equipe Ligier garage.
Lots of elbow fighting there in the back of the grid. David Saber and Jules Bouchard fighting there for the 14th position as it was a podium one.
Here they come through. And you can see, yes, there's still quite a lot of interesting battles going on. A Tyrrell battle here between, I believe, oh my goodness, 2 Tyrrells going for position there and getting both of them. So very exciting stuff on lap 2 here. Meanwhile, Grant Riddall is under attack from Anders Nilsson. This is heating up really fast here.
Yeah, so Grant's having to defend yet again, like he was having to do in the early stages of the race at Jerez. And Anders Nilsson, I thought he would have been taking it a bit easier and maybe looking after his tyres, but at the moment he's pretty feisty.
Yeah, well, the other thing to consider is that, you know, making moves like this later on in the stint is going to be more difficult, so people are definitely seeing opportunities presenting themselves here. And look at Nilsson, big closure here under braking for Rivazza.
Something happened to Bruno Chacon, some kind of incident, because he's now 21st.
Oh my goodness.
We haven't talked much about the McLarens today. The McLarens have been there discreetly running in the midfield. Juha Boss is now, however, 9th. He's on soft tires all around, which seem to suit the McLaren very well here. It's a car that it's not too tolling to demanding on the tires. But he's there behind the group, and there's like 4 or 5 positions. Look at Miller. Miller, very good there, out dragging Grant Riddall.
Yeah.
But there are, like I said, 4 or 5 positions here at stake, and any error on the cars in front, any pile-up, and Juha could be all of a sudden in 4th.
Look at Juha sweeping by Richard Coxon like he's parked. He's
and
really...
Yates by Miller.
Yep.
Yep.
Goodness.
Yeah, Anders Nilsson's just took 2nd place as well from Grant Riddall.
Oh! Ray slams the door on Juha as they come up the hill to Piratella. Lots of action back here early on as Juha continues to attack Ray. My goodness. Looking for a way around him here, but can't get it done. And Coxon's got the $75 seat for this action as they come down the hill here into the Acqua Minerale.
Meanwhile, Nilsson made it past Grant Riddall for 2nd position, but we can see that Riddall is nowhere as aggressive in this race. He's taking things easier, and I'm betting that he will be happy to basically.
Well, you say that. You say that now, but look at him. He's definitely trying to counterattack here. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think there has been a change of strategy.
I think it's more of a case of him not willing to lose Anders Nilsson than really trying to attack. But we will see.
Through the Varianta Bassa. Now the next left-right-hander. Let's see what happens here as they get Purchase coming off that corner. This is such a critical chicane combination there, the Varianta Bassa, because it ultimately determines your speed down this straight. As look at Grant Riddall, he's right with Nilsson now. Does he dare go to the outside at Tamburello? No, he does not, but now he's looking to the left. Possibly an outside pass at Villeneuve could be done, but I think he's letting discretion be the better part of valor here as he backs off and holds station behind Nilsson as they go into Tosa.
Oh my goodness, and Coxon got the position back from Boss. They are all heading
forward. Look at this.
They're back.
Oh, man.
And all these trading positions has allowed basically Brian Janik and Gabriele Del Piccolo, who are having a fight on their own, to close up.
Look at Ray. Oh, here comes Juha. Coming up to Piratella. It looks like he's placed himself well to get the position. Is Ray going to yield? Oh, my goodness. No, Ray. Oh, no, Boss is getting by. My goodness. But Ray was, my goodness, he held on to that for as long as he could.
And I'm wondering about the wisdom of doing this, because what basically happened is that Richard has been able to run away for the moment. and they risked a lot for such an early phase of the race.
Well, meanwhile, the leading Benetton at the moment is David Jakes. Del Piccolo has dropped all the way to 11th place, so the pace that they showed early on in the warm-up doesn't seem to be panning out just yet. We'll see what their tire strategy is, but going to mediums because of the increased heat, I'm sure that was the right thing to do for them. Here's Grant once again shadowing Anders Nilsson as they come through Tamburello. He's going to be looking to set him up as they go into Villeneuve here, possibly.
And Wilkes is opening now a very big gap. And I think that this is basically unveiling what his strategy is going to be. I'm going to be betting now that what he's going to do is try not to stop. Watch out, not to stop, because he's on very hard tires. He knows that the opposition has ways
Del
of the
Piccolo down the inside takes Janik in a bonsai move into Tosa. Wow. Very, very bold. Grant Radal staying right with Nilsson. And yeah, Wilkes is basically just stretching out a really nice, healthy lead right here. And these cars are bookended by two low tie. It'll be interesting to see if Hilla rises up to challenge this group. But nice battle here developing between Dave Miller and David Jakes as well.
Yeah, and if I'm right about the strategy of Wilkes, it's going to be dramatic at the end of the race, because he's basically trying to open the gap now and then try to preserve for the end of the race the tires and the fuel, so that he's going to be crawling, really, on a big lead, crawling till the end of the race.
That angry Honda engine of Dave Miller looking for a way to close up on Jakes, but it looks like Jakes has got the legs through this section of the track. And here's Grant again. He's right with Nilsson. He's going to keep hounding him. Looking, perhaps dealing him a dummy there? No, he's decided not to go there, but...
And Miller is going for it. He passes Jakes. On
there he goes, yes! Miller overtakes Jakes and goes into 5th place.
Very, very good move there on a very difficult part of the circuit, and that Honda engine has nothing to be afraid of from the BMWs.
Let's take a look at a replay of this. He set him up beautifully coming through Tamburello. I think Jakes was thinking that he was going to go to the outside of Villeneuve, but then by the time he was out there, Miller had already made the decision to go the other way. So, but very nicely done. As Grant Radal continues to worry the daylights out of Nilsson. Tim Hill, as we're looking at the cars coming through the Varianta Alta, you can see how critical it is to get this corner right. You're basically threading a needle.
Oh, there's a car in the gravel there. It's Brian Janik. Brian Janik went straight, and now he's reversing into the track. That gravel trap is absolutely horrible. The car is going very slow. They're reversing, and let's hope that the engine doesn't cook.
That's really too bad, because he had a good start, and he looked like he was doing well. I'm running this back to see if we can see exactly what happened.
Running as soon as possible, or the engine will blow.
My goodness. Well, he's got it
He's
somewhat.
using low RPMs very cleverly, but he needs to get out of that gravel trap as soon as possible.
Yeah, he really does. As here come the leaders. Wilkes coming down now, so he can't really join the track here. But you see, there's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Yeah, he's trying to find a space to get back on the track here without disrupting the race. And he's back on now, but we don't know what damage that did to his engine. 25th place, my goodness. That is an absolute kick in the teeth for the Brabham team.
Yeah, and now he has to let everybody pass.
Yeah, which is not fun, but has to be done because he can't get in the way of what's going on here. Would not be prudent at this juncture. Oh, he's going off the track again. Apparently, tires are all full of clag and dirt, and he doesn't have the grip he needs right now.
Yeah, he needs to get rid of all the pickup. Oh, David Sauer just made a spin there, trying to get close enough on the braking to Gabriele Del Piccolo. he was coming very hot from behind, and he was in that 11th position.
Well, look at Dave Miller and Tim Hilla. There's a really exciting battle brewing here. Miller is on an absolute charge. He's got that Williams hooked up today. If he can have a dynamite pit stop when he goes to change tires, who knows? He might have a podium finish in the cards or more.
Look at Grant Riddle now in the straight. Trying to get past Anders Nilsson. That's not going to be easy as the Ferraris are playing the low wing game today.
Yeah, he keeps fading to the outside there at Villeneuve curve, but it just doesn't pan out. And look at this! Oh, contact between Miller and Hilla as they go into Tosa. Miller takes the position, but there was contact there at Villeneuve curve. They were very lucky to get through there without spinning off the track. That was very close indeed.
And I'm going to tell you something. Even if Grant was there very much behind Anders Nilsson in the whole straight, I was amazed at not seeing any kind of overtaking maneuver at the end of the straight, because we know how fond Grant of the push knob is. And that leads me to think, I believe that Grant is actually using Anders Nilsson to get the slipstream, especially there on the main straight, to get close to him and use as low boost as possible, and he's saving fuel for the end. He has now a very different strategy to what we have seen before. And if this plays out well, it might happen that Anders is leading all the time in the race, and that Grant finds himself in a position with more fuel and able to attack. And watch out, because they are catching up with Wilkes.
They are. Go ahead, Ron.
I was about to say, they've closed the gap down to Wilkes as well, really quickly, and I don't know if Wilkes made a mistake, or maybe, I don't know if Wilkes is maybe just backing off and look after his tyres and maybe fuel saving as well.
Well, riding on board now with Nilsson. I mean,
Wilkes has been very constant, but the last 2 laps have been very slow.
Yeah,
it's probably a case of him saving fuel, and he tried to stretch his lead, because as I say, I believe he's going for a no-stop strategy, and for that he needs a big lead. But apparently he wasn't able to keep that rhythm with the fuel consumption in check.
Yeah, he's definitely backed off a little bit now as they come into the Acqua Minerale again. The top 3 right together here. And then it's a little bit of a gap back to Miller, who is in 4th, and Hilla in 5th. And now it looks like Jakes is starting to close in on Hilla, with Coxon in 7th. So things are heating up back here as well. Look at this. Nilsson's right with Wilkes now.
And it seems that Del Piccolo spun. Fortunately, he's back on track with no damage. And I think he didn't even lose a position. I'm not sure about it. Or, yeah, he lost it again to Ry Riddle.
So Ryan, put yourself in the shoes of Grant right now. I mean, you see what's happening here. That Wilkes is backing himself up here, and things are getting a lot closer here. Does it tempt you to try to go for it, or do you keep a cool head and you keep going? I mean, it's difficult to do.
I think if I was in Grant's shoes, and as much as it's tempting to get a run and try and make a move or try and get by, I think if I was Grant, I would maybe just sit there and maybe just lower the boost, save some fuel, look after the tyres, and just kind of plan out what you're going to do. Maybe until, if you have to make a pit stop, maybe just hang behind for a bit. But if you feel you're quicker than Anders, for example, I think if you get a run, you've just got to go for it and get by.
Well, he's had a lot of situations where he's right on the gearbox of Nilsson going into Villeneuve curve, and either because he's taking a more conservative approach and just trying to save fuel, or just doesn't like going offline there because it's really risky. You could have an incident. I mean, we saw what happened just a minute ago with Miller as he was overtaking Tim Hilla. It's very easy to have a collision there because the car's on the brink of going out of control. So, I don't know. I'm starting to think that Grant's plan at this point is just to conserve as much as he can and harry Nilsson at the same time if he can. So, noticing the discs glowing there as they brake for Ravazza too. Another nice detail of this mod.
Yeah, and all this situation with Wilkes going slow, it's allowing the rest to catch up, basically. We got, you can see there the other cars getting close by the moment. But I can tell you, Wilkes is certainly not going to do what we saw Grant doing in the previous races. If he cannot pass, he will be basically, whoa, that was heavy.
Nielsen's gone for the run.
Yeah, he's going to put no resistance because it's pointless. I mean, Wilkes will just want to finish the race and collect the points, and he still has that ace up his sleeve of his strategy. If he's not stopping, if he's really risking that, then for sure he will be later again back at the top of the race.
I think the presence of an Osella there might have complicated matters and that might have distracted Wilkes a little bit in that situation. But yeah, we have a new leader now in Anders Nilsson, and now Wilkes is having to contend with Ray Riddall hounding him. But,
with Grant actually, because Ray has a problem on his own.
Oh, Grant, sorry, yes.
After
Yes,
having
Grant, thank
Gabriele
you.
recovered, he's now again behind Ray Riddall and willing to pass.
That was Rocha in the first of the Osellas who was being lapped. But good job on him to not cause an issue there. There was a change of position, but certainly he was well out of the way.
Also very good recovery from Bruno Chacon, who is now 15th, whereas he had dropped down to 21st after an incident.
I'm really curious to see what Miller is going to do in this situation, because now he's got Grant and Wilkes right in front of him, and he's clearly one of the fastest cars on the circuit right now.
And it seems that Thomas Matusek
Nope.
has retired.
There goes Grant, sweeping around Richard Wilkes. Into second place. That was very clearly a boost knob move. Wouldn't you agree, Ryan?
Yeah, I was just watching the Grant as well as he went onto the home straight, and I had a feeling that he was using some of his boost to get by, because he just went by Wilkes as if he was standing still, and look who's joined this battle as well, is Dave Miller.
Yeah, Miller right on the back doorstep of Richard Wilkes now, and looks like he's definitely looking to take a shot as they go into Piratella. They've got a lapped car in front in the form of K.O. McKeels that they have to contend with, and that's going to slow things up for a tiny bit, but Miller definitely is on top form here in race trim. Force to be reckoned with. You're watching Richard Wilkes, who's dropped to third after leading a good chunk of the first part of the race.
It's actually
here.
Brian Janik that lapped car.
Oh, it
Since
is?
He had that
Okay.
incident, he hasn't been able to go quick again because he's obviously getting his rhythm destroyed all the time by lapping cars.
Exactly, yeah, which is really not fun. Miller looks like he might make a try here as they come down to Rivazza. Oh my goodness, I think he's lucky to get away with that one. He got one tire on the grass there. That could have sent him into the barrier easily. But he recovers, and that's going to give Richard Wilkes a bit of a breather. So Grant now is trying to close up to Nilsson, and he's done so. He's gotten a little bit of gained a little bit of ground there.
Very good fight also between Del Piccolo and Ray Riddall, trying to trade the position there. Although amidst all of that, they are getting chased by Vadim Tasiak, who is getting closer, and David Sabre, both Tyrrells there, hungry for getting a good result.
We have another back marker here, one of the Minardi's making room. That's Bruno Paggiola. And Grant is right there with Nilsson once again. So, oh, this is interesting. I believe they're coming up to, or is this, no, this is, I believe, another Osella in front of them. Yes, this would be Johnny Aces, who is currently running in, I'm not sure what position he's in at the moment. He's not on my board, but in any case, he makes room, gets out of the way for both of them. Well done. He's in 21st place right now. But look at how tight it is coming through here with all the cars just following like a train. Jakes has dropped down to 7th place. Boss is in 8th. Ray Riddall 9th, and Del Piccolo's 10th. Wilkes with Miller still hounding him, but Miller will have to be careful to not have another episode like he had it going into Tosa this time. Looking backwards from Anders Nilsson's car now. Oh, Grant's definitely closing in, but the question is he going to strike or not?
No, look at that. I mean, if he didn't make the pass there by increasing the boost and going by easily,
and
that's
Miller,
because he's
sorry, Miller is now through, and Coxon looking to take a position on Tim Hillett. There's contact there, and he gets through as well. So Coxon up to 5th place now, past Tim Hillett.
So yeah, I guess that Grant Riddle is using a strategy of saving fuel thanks to the slipstream behind the Ferrari. And if he is able to save enough fuel, he might have a nasty surprise for Anders Nilsson towards the end of the race.
Do either of you happen to recall what tires Dave Miller started the race on?
I think he was on softs also.
Okay, well that would, if that's true, that would account for his performance. It'll be interesting to see, gentlemen, if his performance drops off later on. But I mean, we're only 14 laps in, but I would think that even now, I mean, those softs would start to degrade quite significantly.
Yeah, I think so. I think he might have started with the soft tires, maybe just kind of thinking about the first half of the race, starting soft tires, and maybe try and get himself up there. And then when he makes his pit stop and switches to, I guess he would probably switch to the hard.
Yeah, I
tires,
can make out the yellow lettering on the tires, and it's at least in the rear that's soft, that's for sure.
All right, Nilsson's got a little bit of a reprieve here as we got some dust being kicked up by somebody here. That can even happen when you're slightly offline on some of these parts of the track. Nilsson safe this time as he goes through Tosa, doesn't have any problem. But I'll tell you what, Miller, very impressive in the early going here.
Gabriele Del Piccolo already dispensed with Ray Riddle, who has now a problem of his own because he has an angry pack of wolves right behind him, which is both Tyrrells coming up from behind.
Yeah, the Data General Tyrrell team riding on board right now. Oh my goodness, look at how slow Riddle is going through here. He must have a problem of some kind.
Well, I think he's basically saving fuel because, well, those Tyrrells have the same engine. That's a Renault.
That was an incredible closure rate, though.
Very nice car control there by Vadim Tasiak.
And here comes, look at this, Ray coming right back again, trying to take him back, but doesn't get it done as they go into Piratella. Now he's got to deal with the other Tyrrell of David Saber. Looks like Saber wants to follow his teammate through.
Coxon and Healy again at it. Healy made it past and nearly chopped off Coxon there in the previous turn.
Let's see. Oh, Coxon went off the road there, and Hilla capitalized. So Hilla taking advantage of other people's problems early in the race.
And Riddle still keeping, Grant Riddle, still keeping the same strategy. He's in the slipstream of Anders Nilsson, and I'm pretty sure he's lifting heavily there, and he's saving a lot of fuel while Anders Nilsson is doing all the hard job.
Yep, the Tyrrell team now running 10th and 11th respectively. They've dispensed with Ray Riddle. Look at this! Oh my goodness, the closure rate here. Oh no! Dave Saber goes over the grass
and
at.
Coxon just made it past Hill again, in the same place as before. And with all this fighting around, David Jakes is now closer than ever to Tim Hille.
Oh, look at that! He goes back up the. Well, it wasn't at Tosa. It was actually on the exit of Tosa. Interesting. He didn't have the position right there, but I almost wonder if Tim Hille missed a shift there.
Could be.
Perhaps.
But he better than not miss another one because Jakes is really close to him now.
Look at Dave Miller right on the back of Grant Riddle now, and Grant is right with the leader as well as they take another lapped car. This is exciting stuff.
Yeah, and it looks like we've had another retirement as well with Bruno Chacon.
Oh, that's too bad because Bruno's a guy who knows how to finish races under most
Yeah,
circumstances.
very uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah. Look at this. Here comes Grant. Grant, Grant-
He said in the chat that he lost connection. Well, he had been warning that there was a storm going on around his...
Oh, man, look at this. Here comes Miller. There's contact. Contact at the back between Miller and Grant Radal. Miller goes through into second place. The gloves are off at Imola. My goodness.
Damn it, that Miller is on fire today.
He is.
I have to say that was a bit of an elbows out move, if you like it. But fair play to Dave for basically keeping his foot in
and
it.
Jake's
not
also
backing down.
dispensed with Hilleman well.
Yep, Jakes is up to 6th place now. He's dispensed with Hilla, and Hilla runs off the track. My goodness, now he's going to be under attack from David. Well, David Janssen 18th place, so that's not a pass for position, but Juha's back in 8th. So Hilla can't have too many more instances like that, or he's going to be under attack from Boss pretty quick. So Miller now sets his sights on the lead. Unbelievable that he's able to keep that car as quick as it is with soft tires. It's really remarkable.
Yeah, Dave Miller's pretty much been the surprise of the race so far.
He has
in
been.
second, and he's on soft tires, but I think he might be using some boost just to try and kind of just get to the front, and then once he gets to the front, just switch it down a little bit.
Well, then we'll see how much Grant Radal, assuming that he has an uneventful pit stop, how much he's been able to save, if that has in fact been his plan, as here comes Miller, looking like he wants to take the lead from Nilsson. He goes to the outside. Not enough room there. Down to Tosa once again. Nilsson very definitely driving with 360-degree vision.
And look how now that Grant lost the slipstream from Anders Nilsson, he suddenly went all the way back. I mean, he will need to crank up the boost and waste some of that precious fuel that he had been saving just to stay in the game.
I was just looking at the lap count. It's only lap 18 out of 60. These guys are driving like it's the last lap of the race in some instances. It's crazy.
Yeah, except Wilkes, who has been letting everybody by, and he's an old fox and he will know what he's doing.
Yeah, good point.
You see, he didn't get involved in any of the fights. He didn't put much of a resistance.
So I guess it's going to be a case-by-case basis, but it really does depend upon, how does your car handle on not so full tanks versus full tanks for the second stint, and that's going to have a big impact on which tires are chosen when they come in. But look at Grant; he's right back with Dave now.
And track temperature is now up to 27 degrees.
Wow.
So I think that's going to eat very quickly on the soft tires.
Miller right with Nilsson again, looking for a way by, looking from the chopper shot. Miller! Oh my goodness! Very close. He almost went off the track there. Nilsson was like...
Yeah, he should take it calmer there, because it was very close to ending up quite bad for both of them. Although it just surprises me that Anders is there.
Here he goes again up the inside! Oh my goodness! Sorry.
It just surprises me that Anders is there trying to keep the position, because there is no real point in leading here.
Makes for good TV though.
It does.
Yeah, I'm loving this.
This is fun. We're looking at a chopper shot right now, and you can throw a blanket over the top three cars. Miller taking a bit of a breather here, but goodness, you got three different engines and different chassis
Wilkes
here.
Isn't that far behind either, so it's a case of we're seeing here a lot of fireworks, but the strategy deep down seems to be quite different. I mean, yes, Anders is leading, yes, he's not letting anybody pass, but his rhythm is not especially quick, because Wilkes is for sure economizing fuel, and look at that. I mean, he's just like 2 seconds behind this group. I think that Anders is also too afraid of cranking up the boost and trying to get away, because he sees that he cannot anyway, and he's just wasting a lot of fuel in that.
Wilkes is just waiting station back here, and then you got Coxon in 5th, Jake's in 6th. And Yuha Boss is up to 7th now. Hilla must have had an instance of some kind. But look at this. Here comes Miller on the outside going into Villeneuve. Is he going to get the job done? It looks like he will. Yes. Dave Miller goes up to first place in the San Marino Grand Prix. Let's take a look at a replay of this. From the chopper here, you can see he got right up alongside of. This time he had plenty of room. Nilsson hugging the inside of Villeneuve curve. Textbook outbraking maneuver by Dave Miller to take the lead.
And I think he's going to find out now very quickly the reason why Wilkes suddenly started going backwards.
Yeah.
Because once you're on your own without the benefit of the slipstream, especially on the quick parts of the track, that fuel situation completely changes. And you find yourself wasting too much.
And give Nilsson credit, he's staying right with him. Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it looks like we've had a third retirement of the race as well, with Francois Raymond blowing his engine.
Damn. Yeah, it's... I'm surprised we haven't seen more barbecues. We might actually see a few towards the end, you know. I don't know, but here comes Miller, our new leader, into the main stadium area once again. There's a Ocella very nicely getting out of the way. I gotta say, I was really impressed with the start of this race. I don't know what you guys thought, but people were quite courteous.
Yeah, it worked out very well. Very well.
Okay, the chopper again.
It was a clean start, and there was no incidents. From what I saw, everyone was relatively clean. And Richard, or Dave Miller rather, is starting to just pull away slightly or maintain that gap to Nilsson. But I think if I was Nilsson, I would just stay behind and just maybe switch the boost down a little bit and just save some fuel.
Riding on board with Nilsson now. Angel May is worried about the tires with her man, Mr. Miller, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I would also be concerned about fuel consumption. Miller has been using those curbs, gentlemen, way more than other cars I've noticed. What do you think that's doing to his concentration? It must rattle him occasionally.
Well, using the curbs is always a gamble, that's for sure. If you hit one of them wrong enough, because of whatever, a distraction or miscalculation or whatever, you're going to pay dearly for that, that's for sure.
And Wilkes is really starting to lose sight with the top three. Oh, and he's now actually starting to come under attack from Richard Coxon, who's in the other Ferrari here.
Yeah, but this shows basically that he's working on a plan. I mean, Wilkes is just keeping the rhythm that he knows he can use. That's about it. And it's very much what happened to Ayrton Senna in this season also, because the Lotus was quick on the qualifying, no question, especially in the hands of Senna. But then most of the races were a matter of going backwards.
Look at Coxon under braking right down underneath Wilkes' rear wing. My goodness. Closure rate is incredible in some of these turns.
And Miller has meanwhile opened a 1.5 seconds gap.
Yeah, absolutely. Miller definitely still has the pace that he had early on. So, when do you guys think we can expect the first pit stops in this
I think
race?
it's going to be a one-stop affair for most people, because except Mike Olson, nobody has been on the pit stop so far. He was on lap 20, so maybe he thought about the two-stop strategy, but that should be around lap 30 for most people. Although, if they think that the tires are running well, maybe some of them will be stretching it a bit. It depends on traffic and the situation.
Yeah, Miller definitely playing Russian roulette with these curbs. He's got to watch it because he just kicked up a bunch of dust there in Varianta Bassa. Riding on board with Grant Riddall now. Yeah, we're on lap 23 now, so we're over a third distance in now. And Grant is taking it really easy going into Tosa here. You could see how gentle he was going down on the brakes there and the gears. Interesting. There's Paggiola getting out of the way. Looks like he might actually have a problem. He's going pretty slow in the Minardi there.
Matusek in the second Minardi unfortunately quit the race some laps ago, which
Oh.
is a shame because, whoa, what happened to Paggiola? He just lost control and hit the badly there and wrecked the car. I mean, it was completely on his own. The car got sideways all of a sudden. Well, so it seems both Minardis are out. And I'm not going to speak about the broadcaster's course because it's something that we...
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's BS. Now look at Coxon. He's right with Wilkes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Coxon, when they get back on the home straight, if he gets a run, he'll go for the move.
Yeah, I think he would because the closure rate that he had going into Tosa was amazing. If he does that again, I mean, you know how Coxon is. He usually sets up a pass over several laps. We may see one of his classic dealing the dummy moves here. But Wilkes is no fool. He's trying to do that with one of the canniest people on the track.
And Grant Vidal, they're persisting to act as a shadow to Anders Nilsson. Not trying to overtake, not doing anything but staying there in the slipstream. I think that Anders is by now confident that he's not being attacked and he's trying to settle in a good rhythm. And well, it's funny because once both of them acknowledge that the other understands the game that they are playing, obviously each of them is reserving something for the end, so it's going to be fun to see what they come up with.
We have some news from the garage area of Francois Remon's engine let go. That's why he retired from the race. Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say Dave Miller has managed to increase his gap to about 3.8 seconds, but I don't know if he's using not full boost but high boost just to try and pull away. But if I was him and I was doing that, I would be very concerned about my fuel right now.
Well, the other gamble that you're taking there is maybe higher attrition will take over later in the race, which definitely did happen at Jerez. We saw several people drop out late with engines expiring and stuff, so maybe that's part of the gamble as well. As Grant is right with Nilsson now. God, Nilsson's going to be having nightmares of Ligiers this week.
No, but like I said, Grant is obviously playing a very different game this race than he was in the previous ones.
Well, good for him because it clearly wasn't working. And he was probably getting...
But now he's in a very steady third position, and if he can save enough fuel, he could very well do a very, very nasty thing to Anders Nilsson towards the end of the race and overtaking.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing to think about is, he could be a lot higher in the points than he is right now based on some of his performances early on, but they haven't translated into points on the board, either in the Drivers' or the Constructors' Championship. So, I mean, I think he's doing a very tactically smart thing now.
And I think after Jerez as well, when he basically had a bit of a train behind him, and he sort of used that fight at all costs tactic, if you like, to try and keep people behind. And I know on the forum some people weren't happy about it, and I think Grant's took note of that, and this time around in the race so far he's been a lot more sensible.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing illegal about his driving, but I think the operative word for most people would be frustration. So, but I think more than anything, his change in tactic is based on the fact that it's not the previous tactic wasn't getting them results. I mean, basic is that. As he continues to shadow Anders Nilsson, our leader Dave Miller has opened up a gap of 4.4 seconds now. He is absolutely hooked up.
And it's interesting how for the most of the field, the race is more or less settled. Coxon just jumped the curb there. That was close to being a big problem for him. But anyway, I mean, we have the Grant Riddle playing to be the shadow of Anders Nilsson, and Coxon was doing the same of Richard Wilkes. Yates is also behind Coxon, but there is no visible attempt to overtake, no intent on like gaining the position. It's everybody's now like trying to settle into the rhythm and see what happens. They are all waiting probably for the next pit stop or for the pit stop in the case of those who are doing one. And well, once they come out of the pits, once you know that it's anything else that you do, you will be doing it on the track, then we might see people starting to be on the move.
One thing I'm curious about with this mod, I don't drive it regularly, obviously, because my office is in the booth with you two. But I'm curious about calling to the pits, because in some cases, some mods, there is a variable amount of time if you call to the pits and they're ready when you come in, and then if you come in and they're not ready, there can be more time added. Does that dynamic exist in this mod?
Yeah, I think it does. It also
Okay.
does that. You cannot dial that thing out, but I think that in general people are, well, they have ample time to call for the
Look at
cruise
this.
anyway.
Coxon got caught behind an Ocella. It's Johnny Aces, and that allowed Jakes to close right up on his rear wing. So, oh, Coxon runs up in the curbs. It looks like Jakes might have a shot here. My goodness, that was very close. If Jakes hadn't been right on the... Oh, there was a Haas entry there spun out, but that was very close. If Jakes had not been right on the ball there, he may have run right into the back of Coxon because he slowed up after he bounded over the curb. So,
And Miller has now a lead of 9 seconds. One moment ago it was up to 10 seconds.
good grief.
Yeah, he's probably trying to distance himself to make a clean pit stop. And
If
we'll
he
see
ha-
then. But it's hard to believe that he's making the fuel at this pace.
Well, I would venture to say he's not. I mean, he's gambling that he's going to be able to turn the boost back towards the end, but then he's going to be a sitting duck if somebody else like Grant has saved up enough fuel.
And Coxon is now back behind Wilkes, who must have been going very slow because Coxon had several incidents.
Yeah, he's right with him again. But, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find two cannier drivers to pit against each other. I don't think that... I mean, Coxon is good at fooling drivers into being where they... Oh, my goodness! What happened there? Oh, well, Wilkes, I think that was a ping thing that happened there. Because, I don't know if you guys saw that in your screen, but very briefly, Wilkes' car moved around a bit in a strange manner. I think that was a ping issue on my end. In any case, Coxon's bag of tricks, I don't think all of them are going to be working on Wilkes, but also he's got another problem in that David Jakes is closing up. So this is a three-car battle now.
Exactly the kind of situation.
Oh.
Whoa, there goes Jakes into the pits.
Jakes into
Those
the
soft
pits.
tires didn't hold anymore, or he wasn't happy with them. And let me check what he's going to put in the car now, but it will surprise me very much if he didn't put the soft again. Okay. Soft in the front, medium in the rear. So that's the same that he was having. It's interesting that he isn't going for the softs also on the rear this time. Now that there is less race.
M for
Very
medium.
long pit stop for Jakes.
There he finally leaves. He's in 7th as he exits, dropping to 8th now as Tim Hilla sweeps by. So that's the first of the front runners to take a stop. Overtaking John Team now. See if anybody else is coming for the pits. No, not right at the moment, but it'll be interesting to see who's the next one to come in. Grant still shadowing Nilsson.
Yeah, and Coxon doing it very much the same with Wilkes. All the while, you have bosses now up to 6th. Although
yeah.
he's likely going to have to stop because I don't think that those softs can, no way they can be holding.
Well, Coxon tried to go for the move. Oh, sorry for interrupting, but that was I thought it was going to be contact there.
Coxon has signaled speed entry, so maybe it's an automatic thing or maybe he's going in. It wouldn't surprise me much. I think he's going in.
He is. Coxon is into the pits.
There goes the Ferrari. Yeah, I mean, soft tires mean obviously that he was not going to be able to stretch that a lot, but look at that. I mean, he repeats.
He's got
softs on the
softs
front
again. Yeah, C's. C's
and
on the back.
Soft on the rear, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also quite
This is
a
a
long
long
pit
pit stop. Goodness.
Yeah.
rolls away.
Not going to make him any happier.
Yeah, these are lackadaisical pit stops here in Imola. Maybe the pit crews were out late partying the night before.
And Juha Boss is, wait a moment, Juha Boss is now 4th and Wilkes is 5th. Something must have happened there.
Well, pit stops. But,
no, Wilkes, I don't think Wilkes is stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wilkes, well, Del Piccolo's in the pits now. Where's Wilkes at? Wilkes is 4th. Grant 3rd. It's the same at the top, so none of these 4 have come in yet.
Okay, so then for whatever reason the game has scored Juha Boss for a moment in front of Wilkes, but that's
not
not
a scoring
the case.
error.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
everything's back to normal now, but because it was quite amazing, as there is a seizable gap between both of them.
Here's an interesting situation. We got a Ligier sandwich with Nilsson in the middle here, but he's going to dispense with Ray right here, I believe. Yes. Ray currently running in 11th place, so this hasn't been as good of a race as some previous ones.
Oh, Jakes and Hill at trading positions. Jakes was able to make it stick.
Juha Boss in the pits.
More people signaling pits now. Kayomi Keels.
Soft tires again for Juha. Pit road's a busy place right now.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just me. Was it just did Juha take rear tires only?
I don't know. I can't think of a situation where that would be a good idea.
Yeah, just I was from my end anyway. It looked like it was just the rear tires that he took. So I don't know if that's if he's got hard tires on the front, but maybe just took softs on the rear.
Coxon is still pressing Hilla really hard. It looks like he might have a shot here going into... No, he's not going to take it here. It's not a good place. But he certainly keeps pressuring him. Oh, looking up the inside of... No, he's not going to do it here. Aquinamarali's not really the best overtaking spot.
Miller is in the pits.
Yes, and that puts Nilsson into the lead with Grant Rodal in second. What's the tire story with Miller?
And Grant, that's very funny. Seems to be nearly bumping Nilsson to go quicker in the straight. I mean, he clearly refused to overtake, but he was like pushing him.
All right, we got a wrench icon on board Nilsson's car, so he is due in the pits soon, it appears, for some...
And Juha Boss got a drive-through. What happened here?
I believe he jumped a curb when he was entering the pits. I think I just caught a glimpse of it. Maybe he cut the track or something. I don't know. But that's
anyway, David Sabre now into the pits now, which should give the 9th position back to Gabriele Del Piccolo as soon as he enters.
We are at exactly half distance now. Well, more than half distance.
And Keijo Mikia is now also coming out of the pits.
I get to use a Murrayism now. With half the race gone, there is half the race yet to go.
The glass is now half empty.
Yes, it is.
Let's see what happens with Nilsson's here, and also what happens with Grant. Because it will be interesting to see if he's happy with this situation and wants to basically continue doing the same. Although it's a risky proposition to try to hold it because the pit stop are very random. But you can see that Nilsson, that's interesting. He distanced himself from Grant, obviously, because he wants to go into the pits and just in
They're
case...
both coming in.
Yes, he does.
They're both coming in.
Yeah, he wants that jump start on Grant in the pits.
All right, so Grant's there. Pit stops going on. Tires appear to be... what? Oh, I got green chalk on these, and he's going for it. There he goes, back ahead of Grant.
A bit longer pit stop for Grant.
Yeah, there's Grant. And Wilkes is now in the lead, so the question becomes, oh, and Miller's right with him, too.
And Jakes overtook Coxon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Wilkes is in the lead because he had not stopped, but Miller is going to quickly deal with that.
We'll see.
No, Wilkes obviously is on a quite different strategy. I mean, if he's stretching his tires and all that, he cannot even try to compete with Miller on fresh tires on the Williams. I think nobody saw Miller coming in this race.
No, they clearly did not. He is definitely the surprise of the race. I would agree.
I know in the case of Wilkes, he had been monitoring what the Ferrari boys were doing the whole week, expecting them to be there in the top, and he probably dialed his strategy to be an anti-Ferrari strategy. But what's going on here with Miller all of a sudden appearing is something that nobody expected. Miller is taking it easily in any case, which is exactly.
Oh my goodness!
Doing.
Did you see that right over the curb? Very aggressive situation. That's scary stuff. And here comes Miller looking for his way by into the lead, and there he goes. Wilkes drops back down to second again. So the question is, when is Miller going to pit? Or did Miller already pit? Sorry.
Yes,
he did. Yes, he did. So it was Wilkes who is not pit. I'm sorry. My mistake.
Yeah, and Richard Coxon is still basically hassling David Jiggs, and yeah, he's still not got by him. David Jiggs doing a good defensive job though.
Yeah,
sure wasn't going to put up a fight stupidly when he clearly knew that Miller was much quicker. Wilkes is going to play it on a different game and see if Miller really has the fuel to make it till the end of the race. And Grant is back behind Nilsson playing the same game. I think this is going to annoy Nilsson to no avail. In the previous races, some people were, well, even Nilsson, they were annoyed of Grant being there in front of them all the time. Now they are going to say they are annoyed to have him back.
Well, Grant looks like he might be setting up for a shot here on Nilsson. Yeah, he is. He's definitely, well, I don't know. We've said that before.
No, I tell you, he's saving fuel there.
Well,
once he makes the move, he wants to make it stick, having enough fuel to really go all out till the end of the race.
Yeah, look at him back off there going into Villeneuve curve. The thing that I think we need to watch for now as we
Watch
go
out
into
now, Coxon and Jiggs. Coxon.
Oh.
Side by side there.
Yep, there he goes. He sweeps into 5th place. Richard Coxon.
I'm not sure if he feels he's able to follow Grant and Anders, basically contact with them, or I don't know, or was simply trying to let Jiggs that he's not slow and that Jiggs must be aware of him. But whatever the case, it didn't seem to make a lot of sense to do that overtake unless he's going to speed up and catch up with the group in front. And maybe that's what he's doing, because I would say that visually the distance has diminished a bit.
Well, the question that's on my mind, I think the three of us can agree that Nave Miller at no point during the race seemed to be in a fuel-saving mode. So I guess the question is, do we think he'll be able to maintain the pace that he has until the end? Or is Wilkes doing the tactically superior thing, thinking, I'm going to wait and see if he runs out of fuel?
I don't think that Miller is going to run out of fuel, but it would surprise me much if he can keep even close to this rhythm in 10 or 15 laps more. I don't know, maybe he's just trying to open that big gap, hoping for people not to be able to speed up. maybe hoping that everybody is doing now the quickest they can do. And in that case, if the caution is enough, then yeah, he would have the victory in the back.
Ryan, what do you think?
I think he's just he's doing what he was doing in the first stint, just trying to build up that gap as much as possible. And I think towards the end he'll probably just back off a little bit and turn down the boost and just. But I think if I'm him, you've just kind of not really with regards to fuel, but with the tyres, I think you've just got to try and go for it and try and stretch that gap, and then towards the end maybe just back off and just try and maintain it. But I think the person that's in the box seat, if these guys or anyone up at the front runs out of fuel, is Richard Waltz.
And I just remember that Coxon and Nilsson, they are on the radio in the same channel. So maybe the fact of Coxon speeding up and actually opening a bit of a gap with Jakes and trying to make contact is something that is coordinated between both Ferraris. Because if Nilsson thinks that Grant, or sees clearly that Grant is not trying to overtake him and that Grant is holding there, maybe Nilsson is cleverly slowing a bit down to allow Coxon to catch up so that they can double team on Grant.
Team tactics at Ferrari? That doesn't sound like a possibility.
With John coming out of the pits, that was a very complicated situation with Coxon behind Cassier.
Look out! Oh my goodness!
He was hoping to overtake there on the outside, but that car emerging from the pits absolutely killed the situation for him.
Dang.
Which is a shame because he lost probably a lot of time there.
Wow. Yeah, the pit exit of Imola is a bit odd. Very sudden, and it's kind of on the line that you'd be wanting to take going into that corner.
7-second leads for Miller now.
Grant still right with Anders Nilsson. Yeah, this has been a really interesting race from Miller, and quite incredible that he's able to keep up a pace like this with the tires that he's been using. All right, maybe now would be a good time for the trivia question.
Why not?
All right. So, the trivia question is: in April 1963, Imola hosted its first F1 race as a non-championship event. Who won this race? Was it A, Jack Brabham, B, Graham Hill, or was it C, Jim Clark? Time's up. What do you guys think?
I'd go with Brabham because I think he's the oldest of them.
What about you?
I'm going to go with B, Graham Hill.
You're both wrong. The answer was Jim Clark.
Well, if I had known that Clark was in the race, then I would have said Clark.
Wrong. All right, back to the race.
So 8 seconds lead for Dave Miller, who doesn't seem to give any signs of him lowering the pace. 10 seconds now here in the main street. But there goes Wilkes, on a very steady drive without any tire change.
Yeah, that is amazing that there was no tire change made. Although, I don't know. In the end of the day, maybe that wasn't the best strategy.
We will need to see. Wilkes can go very much quicker because some laps ago he did a 135, but he's now lapping steadily in 137, 136. He sped up a bit in this last lap. Whereas in the case of Anders Nilsson, who is immediately pursuing him, Anders had been doing 135 in the same lap as Wilkes did it, but then he did 36, 36.5, 36.4, and then a bit slower, 37. And I think that when Wilkes saw that he was closing up a bit, he sped up just to see how the fuel consumption was with the currently more empty tank that he has, because even if going more or less for the same pace at the start of the race with a full tank and doing it now, there is a bit of a difference in between, obviously, because with heavier car you're more time on the throttle and all that. But I think that they are each other feeling what the other is doing, feeling each other, and they both are like on a long-term strategy towards the end of the race.
Speaking of fuel numbers and fuel strategy, we're definitely going to have a lot of that going on next Sunday at ISO. Oops, sorry, wrong graphic there. It's the Coors 200 coming up next Sunday, round 3 of 18 in the USAC series. People are finding they have to turn the boost way down to make the fuel numbers when they're running by themselves. And if Ontario is any indication, I would be surprised if we do the race with no yellows. So all you European drivers that complain you don't like yellows in IndyCar racing, all I have to say is be careful what you wish for, because now you're stuck with it. And if you're driving a Offie or a SGD, you don't have yellows to help you in some cases. So goodness, tough. Yeah, I think Grant at this point is just like, he's just waiting station is waiting for the right opportunity. It's a chess game at this point.
And I think that there is indeed some kind of communication between Anders and Coxon, because Coxon is speeding up considerably. He's in 35s all the time, even 34s in this last one. And yeah, I think that Anders really wants to have his teammate there helping him sandwich Grant Ridal.
You think that's what's going on, Ryan?
Yeah, I think that's what's going on at the moment. I think it's just, I have to agree with Alberto.
All right, well, something to keep an eye on as the laps dwindle down. As they come by this time, there'll be 20 laps to go in the race. Jakes didn't end up being the force that we thought he might be in this race. He's in 6th. But I think that if the temperature had stayed where it was in the warm-up, I think this would be a very different situation, potentially.
And Jakes is, by the way, with his BMW engine, the currently highest place four-cylinder engine. Miller's lead now stretched to 12 seconds. I don't know when this man is going to lift a bit from the throttle. He's been doing very steady 35s all the time. And it's interesting because we've seen that Wilkes can do that. He can also venture into the 35s. Same for Coxon, and not just that, Coxon did easily a 34 some laps ago. In the case of Dave Miller, he hasn't done anything but 35s. He hasn't ventured yet into the 34s. So that clearly indicates that the other drivers, they can have more pace. It's just that Miller is on a very steady one here, and if he's able to make that happen with the fuel consumption in check, then he's looking very strong for the end of the race. But if the other drivers are having to lift and while being able to go quicker, actually have to go slower, that doesn't seem to indicate that this bodes well for the fuel situation for Miller. Although, right now as I speak, he did 134.5, which was blistering quick.
Yeah. Yeah, Angel May is really worrying here on the YouTube chat. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Miller's pace as the laps wind down here. 19 laps to go now. It's funny how the second half of the race seems to go faster than the first half. I don't know why that is. I mean, the lap times obviously increase a little bit, but yeah, it's really interesting how perception changes during the course of a race. Let's have a look through the rest of the field here while we have a moment. Yeah, Wilkes in second, having not made a pit stop. Yeah, Nilsson and Grant Riddall perpetually stuck together like Siamese twins. And Coxon is closing. He's got a ways to go still, but now he's caught behind Johnny Aces, who is running 18th at the moment, 2 laps adrift, who makes room for him there.
One other remarkable fact is that we only have 5 cars out of the race so far.
That is pretty amazing, actually. Jake's running in 6th, Yuha in 7th place, just outside the points. He would have probably been higher if he hadn't had that drive-through. 8th, Tim Hilla. 9th is Gabriel Del Piccolo. 10th, David Saber. Decent run for the Tyrrell team today with 10th and 11th for their cars. Hopefully they can bring them home in one piece. Cesarius is in 12th in the West Zach Speed Racing entry. And then 13th, not the best of races for Ray. It's interesting. He just didn't really seem to be in this one today very much. 14th for KO. The leading Brabham, so not a good day for motor racing developments at all. John Team for the Lola team is running in 15th place. 16th for David Yunt, the lone Barclay Arrows left in the race after the engine explosion for Francois Remin. The other Haas entry, I believe this is the Ford-powered one out of the 2 that Jules Bouchard is running. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the other one is a Hart-powered one. Yeah, there are no Ford logos on this car, the number 16.
Yeah, that's one of the changes. They were working the whole season to basically get the new engines.
Yeah, it says in my notes here that were prepared by Coxon that Ford, they ran a Ford engine in chassis number THL2. It was 15 centimeters shorter than THL1 due to the reduced dimensions of the V6 compared with the Hart 415T.
And Wilkes, having had to slow down a lot, is now nearly in reach for Anders Nilsson and Grant Riddall.
Yeah, it's closing down fast here. Yep, there they are.
Yeah, they were doing like, I think, nearly 1 second quicker than Wilkes in these last laps. And Wilkes is, he's really crawling. I don't know if it's the tires, the fuel consumption, but he's going really slow. Tortoise slow.
Well, I think we can safely say that the no-stop strategy was not the right one. We'll see what Wilkes...
Stapinski is out of the race now.
Oh, shoot, we just showed him, too. Yeah, this is about to come a 3-car battle here.
It's actually more of no contest, because as soon as they get to Wilkes, it's going to be hard for him to resist. Although, like I said, he's not going to get into stupid fights. I'm pretty sure of that. So.
And Coxon is definitely closing down in this group, slowly but surely, so it could become a 4-car situation before we get to the end. It's funny, these 3 cars were together before. The difference this time, though, is that they're 2nd, 3rd, and 4th now, with Miller out in front. 12-second lead for Miller, almost 13. So...
Nilsson's getting a lot closer and he's
going Oh, Nilsson going for it! Yep, there he goes. Sweeps right around, no contest. Oh my goodness, Grant almost loses the car. So Wilkes
and that's
drops
what
to
Nilsson
3rd.
wanted, because he basically waited for the whole straight to lap Wilkes, and I'm pretty sure he could have done earlier just to put him in the middle there between Grant and him. Although
There
that
goes
didn't
Grant.
last for long.
Yeah, Grant by now. Must be very frustrating to be in Wilkes' cockpit right now, knowing you can't counterattack. Oh, and you can see now from Coxon's car how oh, actually, you know what? That's not a... No, he's still got a ways to go before he has him in visual range.
Maybe because Wilkes now sped up a bit, and maybe he thinks that the game that Grant is playing is a game that two can play. Maybe he's going to also stick there behind Grant and try to save fuel, because he has been running on his own for too long.
True. True.
Wow, Miller has now an 18 seconds lead, 19 seconds. Just wondering how he can do it with the flow.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I've been thinking the whole time. I don't understand how he's able to come up through the grid like that and drive as fast as he has, consistently as he has, and make it on the fuel. But maybe there's something I don't know. The other thing we haven't talked about much are brakes. You would think that brake fade would be a problem towards the end of this race, given how much hard braking there is. What do you guys think about that?
Theoretically not.
No?
You could see in the qualifying that the brakes were all the time glowing. But now they have opened the ducts and they don't seem to be a problem at all. We will see. But with the brakes not getting really hot, unless someone has done too much of an aggressive locking of the brake ducts, it shouldn't be a problem.
Wilkes starting to struggle to hold on to these two now. I wouldn't be surprised if, you could just see a Scarlet car emerging from the background there, so I'd imagine he's going to fall into the clutches of Coxon before the race end.
Yeah, he's more worried about Coxon at this point, I believe.
Yeah. So after this race, assuming that Miller is able to score the win, that would be 3 different winners in the first 3 races. Great parity. And then we go to Monaco, which I'm curious what you guys think. Like, who will benefit from a race like Monaco? Whose car and engine combination is likely to be the best for that?
Well, I don't think that the 4 cylinders are going to have an easy time there because they are more picky. You need there an engine with more torque on the low RPM range, if you can even say that of these engines. But there are differences among them. So yeah, I would believe that cars that have less power, so they are more easy to manage and that are not so picky, are going to benefit. So fuel, I don't think it's going to be that much of a concern at Monaco. So probably the Lotus are going to be in their element there, just because they are very small cars, very agile, and they fit better in the narrow spaces.
Ryan?
Yeah, I think Monaco, it's always one of those races people say you can't really pass around there, but I think it does still be, it's one of those races that springs a shock, and just looking at the midfield today at the moment, I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see a shock result from the likes of maybe David Sebler or Ray Rideau or John Team, Tim Hillier as well, even Gabriele Del Piccolo. So there's names in the midfield that Monaco, if there's people up at the front start having issues, people like those drivers in the midfield could spring a surprise.
Yeah, I think that's quite true. I'm also thinking that the Boost happy Ligier team might have some kind of trick up their sleeve or two at Monaco. We'll see. I think the car that's going to hate Monaco the most will be the Brabham. That's for sure.
Yeah, very picky engine, very long car, and very wide. So it's well, and it's also
they need
low enough to hit in the bumps.
They need one of those truck signs on the back that says this car makes wide turns, because oh man, that's going to be a chore to get that thing around the hairpins at Monaco.
Yeah, they will nearly need a handbrake to make it rumble.
Yeah. All right, so in another 3 laps we'll be the inside the 10-lap mark. It's been a really interesting race. The tactics very obvious to see, and the advantage and disadvantages that people were experiencing very obvious on screen. So it's been interesting to see how that's played out, and definitely the surprise of the race has been Miller rocketing up through, and I'm quite certain that he was not trying to have contact with people. That's not the kind of driver Miller is, but he definitely let it all hang out when he needed to. He definitely went for it a couple of times in very risky situations and managed to make it stick. Now Grant is right with Nilsson again.
No, I mean, watch out, because if this continues till the end of the race, the hostilities in the last two laps are going to be absolutely...
It's
the Third World War is going to break out loose.
Yeah, the gloves will be off later on. I mean, obviously, this is just they're just setting the table for what's going to come with 2 laps to go, I think. No question about it. 15 seconds for Miller now. I don't get it, man. I don't understand how he's able to keep doing this and not have a fuel issue.
It was actually 18 some laps ago, but I'm looking at the lap times, and he has been driving very steadily. 135, low 135s. So I think that the distance increasing or decreasing has been more of a matter of Nilsson and Grant finding traffic or whatever.
Coming up to some lap traffic here.
Coxon has already a visual on Wilkes, distant one, but a visual.
Oh, this is interesting. He's coming up on the 2 Team Haas entries. They're right with each other now.
Whoops, Coxon overdriving it there.
Oh, goodness! That was a scary moment for Miller there. He tried to overtake... he was very close to lapping Bouchard, and evidently Bouchard didn't see him, and he had to back out of it, but that was very close. He's got to be careful.
I think Miller was just a bit too eager to get by there, and he has to remember he's got a big enough lead that he doesn't need to do anything silly.
God, he gets by in the clag there. Yep. When we come by this time, we'll have 11 laps to go, actually.
Seems David Sabre was out of the race also.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, Luciano Rocha is in the pits for repairs. Janik, though, also onto the race.
Yeah, it can't be a lot of fun for Janik being 3 laps down and just making laps. Essentially, he's driving to maintain his finish rate on live racers. That's essentially what he's doing. All right, so now Miller coming up to lap the other Lola. Hopefully this one will see him. That's scary stuff. You get down to the end of a race and you're hoping people see you, and your brain is taxed. You're starting to. Oh, he's got 2 cars to deal with now. He's got a looks like one of the Ocellas. That's Jonathan. Looks like Miller's gonna get him on the out. Oh shoot! Yeah, there he goes. Okay.
And Coxon had a moment some laps before because he's pushing as hard as he can without cranking up the boost to catch up with Wilkes. Now he collects his act together and seems to be again closing in. But that incident when he jumped over a curb has hurt a bit.
Yeah,
although
it has.
He can see Wilkes in the distance.
Yeah, he has visual contact with him now, so that'll
there
help
is
him.
blood in the water already for him.
Yeah.
So.
I'm just looking now, the gap at the front between Miller and Nilsson has came down to about 11 seconds.
Miller coming now to heavy traffic.
Yeah,
There's
he's got
in front of him.
He's got Yunt and I believe that's John Team in front. I don't think this is a battle for position at this moment between these two, even though they are running consecutively on the track. I think there's a lap between them. So and there goes Miller by David Yunt.
It's very dangerous to overtake here on the outside because if you look from a high view, you can clearly see how all those marbles are there on the outside of the turn, where the tire degradation, all those marbles that fly off, they end there in the outside of the turn.
Yeah.
And it's so dangerous because it's so slippery to try to overtake there. You need to be really careful.
So 10 laps to go down. Dave Miller is your leader. Anders Nilsson is in second. Grant Riddall is third. Richard Wilkes, who's gone the whole race on the same set of tires, is fourth. Closing in on him, though, is Richard Coxon in fifth. David Jakes is sixth. Juha Boss seventh. Tim Hilla is in eighth. Ninth, Gabriel Del Piccolo. 10th, Vadim Tesiak. 11th, Ray Radal. 12th, Ko McKeels. Jean Team is 13th. David Yunt is 14th. Jules Bouchard 15th. Brian Janik, after his early issues, is 16th. Jonathan Esserklinth, the late race edition for Osella, is 17th. And then out of the race in 18th is David Saber. Luciano Rocha is 19th, 8 laps down, and I think he's the last runner on track at the moment. All right, another Lola presents itself to Dave Miller. This is the one that's powered by a Hart engine. And there goes Miller by. That was a much easier situation than the previous Lola. Now they're coming.
Coxon is closing in really quick on Wilkes. Although he's climbing up the walls, he was out of the track a moment ago. And now he has traffic in the middle. Well, the traffic obviously had held Wilkes up, so that's why Coxon has gotten a bit closer.
Coming up to Jules Bouchard now, my goodness! Oh, whoa, that was dangerous. But he's going to make it by both of them before Tosa. That was rather scary.
Yeah, that was a bit close for comfort.
Yeah. A close shave.
Yeah, at any rate, he got by them quicker than Wilkes. And that, again, puts him even closer to him.
You can just see Wilkes ahead of him here.
Yes, but wait a moment, because Wilkes has also himself closed up with Grant and Nilsson.
My, the plot thickens.
Look at that. I mean, look at Wilkes now. Let me see what the lap times are. Because this seems quite interesting. Yeah, of course, Wilkes did the lap in 1:34.
All right, I'll bet you guys can't guess what the difference in the Ligiers is from last race to this one. There is a noticeable difference. It's not a livery change; it's an actual design change.
Oh.
On the car, do you know what it is?
No, I'm not.
What about you, Ryan?
Right now.
I'm not sure, but I'm going to hazard a guess and say maybe something to do with aerodynamics.
It is. It is the little winglet thing that's behind the front wheels, a little curved thing which you also find on the Zach Speeds. These are new for this race.
I did not see that. I like that.
They're dark, so they're easy to miss. They kind of blend in with the tires.
So Coxon is 1 second behind Wilkes. And I'm betting, in the case of Wilkes, yeah, the tires play a role here, but I'm betting that he's basically just making sure that he has enough fuel to speed up at the end of the race.
Goodness, 27 viewers on YouTube right now. That's fantastic. I think our record is 28 at one time, but we're very grateful for everybody who's watching the race today, and hope you're all doing well. And definitely take a minute if you want. Visit our YouTube. Well, obviously you're on our YouTube channel right now, but visit our Facebook page and our new Instagram account, where you can see photos and stuff from our races in square format.
What's the car there on the sand?
That was a Haas.
Yeah, John Dean crashed.
Oh shoot!
Lucky for Wilkes there, he was able to put John in the middle there in the chicane. That has certainly hurt Coxon a lot, but he's now by. And if Wilkes had some fuel to dispense with towards the end of the race, he better start twisting that knob up.
Yes, but the question is, are his tires in any shape for him to do that?
Riddle already made his move. He has overtaken Nilsson. Damn, I missed that.
Yeah, I was looking at the other monitor, but yeah, he's already by him. Yeah, that was,
Can't catch that in the replay.
You see.
But, yeah.
It's pretty far back, but let me see if I can... Looks like it happened, in... Was it Tamburello where it happened? Maybe. Oh, it was in the start-finish areas where it happened.
Whoa,
yeah,
now he's opened a sizable gap.
Yeah, he just turned up the boost and went by.
Yeah,
that's
he's
where
just
it happened.
basically saying, thanks, you have been my buddy the whole race, helping me save fuel. Now goodbye, have a good time.
So long, farewell.
So let's see how this ends between Coxon and Wilkes, and well, we were already expecting this nasty surprise that Grant had been saving the whole race. And I mean, it's obvious that the different strategy is paying off for him because he's now in a very solid second.
Look at him just rocking away. Good grief. I mean, it's not even...
that gap up at the front between Miller and Riddell is down to 8.5 seconds now, so Grant is absolutely on it.
And Richard Wilkes now is definitely going to start coming under attack from Coxon as they come up to Tosa. So things are definitely getting interesting here in the closing laps. Look at this. Coxon fighting wheel spin as he comes out of Tosa.
Gentlemen, Grant did a 132.
Ooh, my goodness!
That's 2 seconds quicker than Miller's last lap, and Miller had already sped up watching what had happened behind him.
Oh,
it's quite a sprint in 6 laps, but anything can happen.
Yeah, if he's got something to use, the time is now. But that's, I think that's a tall order to close that gap in 6 laps. I don't know, except 5.5 is what we got left. But it'll be interesting to see if he can do it.
For sure, it already put some serious pressure on Miller because he cannot make any error.
No, he cannot, and he seems to be perpetually arriving at lapped traffic. So he can't really he can't cruise home, that's for sure.
It's down to 6.4 seconds now, so Grant's closing that gap, but he's only got about 5 laps remaining.
Wait a moment, there's a full visual. Grant can see him very clearly. Look at that. I mean,
yeah,
Grant
I know.
is coming really quick. 6 seconds now. My goodness. I mean, what Grant is doing is nothing short of amazing.
I wonder if Dave, if he's having...
Oh my goodness! I don't know what just happened, but a huge accident for Coxon. It looks like he's out of the race, but his car just lifted off, Mercedes CLK style.
Let's see the replay.
Replay.
I think he was really trying behind Wilkes, and I think that at some point he must have hit the curb.
I don't know what happened there.
I thought it looked like a glitch.
That is incredible. His car just lifted off.
I know what happened. It was a matter of setup. His car was likely running too low on the back.
I don't believe it. Wow.
We've seen some of those accidents in practice. Grant is down to 131. He's absolutely on fire and catching up with Miller quick, very quick.
There he is. You can see him.
I think if you're Dave Miller, you've pretty much just got to brace yourself for Grant coming up behind you and making a move, because I think Dave Miller, he's having to conserve fuel big time.
Those are going to be the 4 longest laps of his life for Miller. Let's see how much he can squeeze out of the engine, because he did 134. Grant is nearly 3 seconds per lap quicker.
Listen to that screaming Renault engine, my goodness. Don't turn off your TV machines. This is going to get very interesting here. Del Piccolo out of the race now. Not sure what happened there. But that accident for Coxon, I mean, he's basically limping around. He's going to be lucky if he finishes in the points, but that basically that gave Wilkes the reprieve that he had to stay in fourth. But disappointing race, I'm sure, for him overall, because he started on the pole and he's going to finish 3 places down from that.
2 seconds now, the gap between Miller and Riddle. It's incredible.
So yeah, that the amount of time that Grant spent behind Anders in the slipstream, he saved. It seems like he saved enough fuel, and Grant Riddle is in the box seat.
He's going 3 seconds per lap quicker than Miller at this point. I mean, the difference is astonishing. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously we're not discovering Grant's talent now, but it's also a matter of all the fuel that he has been saving the whole race. Very, very clever strategy by Grant. I mean, if there's a comeback, that's one.
Well, looking at the back of Miller's car now, and I don't see Grant, so maybe he's responding.
Oh, Ray Riddle, I think he needs to get out of the way, and he does, but not. He made it a little bit hard for Dave.
No, Miller is in the. I mean, he went down to 34s, but Grant just diminished a bit the progression. He did the 33, but he still gained something on Miller.
Yeah, the gaps went back up to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
We've got
Miller has sped up. Probably he was also waiting to see how much fuel he could dispense with.
We've got Angel May watching, and we've also got Angel May's dad on the chat now, watching Dave's final laps here. So hopefully they'll be seeing another victory for Red 5, but we'll see what happens here. Another yellow flag in this area. Not sure who this is. It might be Del Piccolo.
Grant again getting visibly closer. We will see this lap how it was for Dave Miller.
Here's Coxon exiting the pits now, but he's in 7th place. That's really disappointing for him. That was an incredibly spectacular accident.
Let's see what the response from Miller was. No, it was actually the same lap time. 34.5.
So he had something in the back pocket.
He cannot go any quicker due to fuel or whatever. And what's that? Accident for Vadim Tasiak?
Well, that must have been what the yellow flag was.
Yeah.
Goodness. So what was a good race for Tyrrell has kind of gone belly up here, unfortunately. All right, so a lap and a half to go for Dave Miller, and it looks like he's responded to the challenge for the moment from Grant. So we were curious when Dave would be able to assert himself in this car, because he had an excellent run. Almost won the championship in 1991 F1 last year, and looks like that form is continuing here in the 1986 mod. He doesn't have far to go now, just a little less than a lap and a couple of turns. Oh, it's Dave's dad. My apologies. I thought because, Angel had called him hi dad, I thought it was her dad, but it is actually Dave Miller's dad watching. My apologies.
Oh, too bad for Miller. He's now caught up in traffic. Thankfully enough, he's very close to the start-finish line, because he's really in a traffic jam now.
And now we're on the final lap of the race. Dave Miller looking for his first win of the 2021 ISO season as he overtakes Janik. Taking a look down from the chopper now. Can't see Grant there. The gap is about 5.5 seconds now. So Grant put on a really...
What happened here is that at some point Grant did a 138. So he had some kind of incident on track. Because that's what returned the gap back to what it is, because he had put 2 consecutive 131s, which was absolutely amazing and must have made Miller scare himself.
Well, the Tifosi will be happy to see Anders Nilsson come home in third, but definitely, I tell you, there's probably going to be a nice big shot of Coxon's car airborne on the front of the Italian tabloids tomorrow morning.
Yeah, they will go something like the Ferrari finally flies, although
Yes.
for the very wrong reasons.
For the wrong reasons, yeah. Yep. All right, so just a few turns to go now. Dave Miller, red 5. Continuing with the form from the previous year, he's had some good races up to this point, but finally, he's able to assert himself on the top of the podium here at Imola. 3 different races, 3 different winners, and here he comes off the final turn. Dave Miller wins the San Marino Grand Prix. It is Miller time in Italy. Congratulations to Dave Miller on a spectacular race, a dominating performance. Grant Radal on a great drive too. Second, excellent drive for him, changing up his strategy and paying with a great result of second. Anders Nilsson comes across the line in third place.
And Wilkes with total tires jumped the final chicane.
Well, Wilkes comes across in fourth. I mean, that's pretty amazing that he was able to. I mean, I can't imagine doing the race with the same set of tires.
Fifth for David Jakes.
Yeah, fifth for Jakes.
Continues to score points.
Mm-hmm.
And the final points paying position, that should be that of Juha Boss, although he's not in there. Not being overtaken by John Tim.
Yep. Oh, John, look out, look out.
That's not even for position. So
I know.
You wanted to unlap himself, maybe?
Maybe. But it doesn't matter because the leaders crossed the line already. So Juha takes 6th place. That's great. Good drive from him.
And Coxon takes the Jonathan position.
Yeah, really unfortunate because he had that liftoff moment a bit ago, and that basically cost him his points-paying position, but at least he made it to the end. I think this is his first finish of the series so far, if I'm not mistaken. He blew his engine at Jerez, and we know that he had issues at the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix, so at least he gets the car across the line this time. Ray Radal, and he's up to congratulate his son on a good drive, or maybe he's actually pushing him home. No, he's not. But that looks nice and symmetrical. 2 Ligiers together. 9th for Cale McKeels. That's a nice result for him. It's funny, he wasn't streaming today because he wanted to keep his CPU usage down and keep it from chattering. And of course, he has a great result, and it wasn't on TV. That's how it goes sometimes. 10th for Tim Hilla. 11th for David Yunt. We didn't see much of him today. But good result for him. And then the only Haas that finished was Jules Bouchard, 12th.
No, actually, John Dean crossed.
Oh, John Team also. Yes, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, Janik comes home 13th. Johnny Aces came home 14th for Osella Squadra Course. Excellent result for him. He was languishing down in the 20s for a while, so he really rose up the charts towards the end there. I guess he benefited from a lot of the DNFs that happened late. John Team 15th, Vadim Tasiak 16th, Gabriel Del Piccolo 17th, Luciano Rocha and the other Osella coming into the pits now. So both Osellas finish. He finishes 18th, 19th for David Saber, 20th Cesarius Slapinski, 21st Mike Olson, 22nd Bruno Pagiola, 23rd Francois Remen, 24th Bruno Chacon, 25th Tomas Matusik, and that was your finishing order for this race. All right, so that was the San Marino Grand Prix, and a very interesting contest, and I think it speaks to the fact that we're going to have, well, what we hope is going to be a great series, but 3 different winners in the first 3. I mean, that's pretty excellent parity, I would think.
Yeah, it for sure is, and we have discovered many interesting things here now that we have come to this very different type of track. The first one is that the pacing qualifying, if we needed any confirmation, well, we even got another one that the pacing qualifying doesn't matter anything because there is so much fuel saving and so many variables added in the race. The second one is that Grant not just keeps his form, being able to lap quick, but he has found a very good strategy now. One could say it's a bit a parasitary strategy for the Ferraris. I don't think that the Ferrari camp are they are going to appreciate it. But hey, I mean, it does work. This one does work for sure. And that means that Grant is very much in the championship and that he is a force to be reckoned with. And other than that, poor Coxon's bad luck continues, even if he has been able to finish the race at least.
And we are now joined by the winner of the San Marino Grand Prix, Dave Miller. Congratulations on an excellent drive today. Very eventful early on with some close quarters moments with a lot of competitors. Take us through the early part of the race, especially. Looked like quite a few hair-raising moments there.
Thanks, Jason. That was an awesome race. Absolutely fantastic. I knew I didn't have much time this week to prepare, so I put all my focus onto the race setup and just trying to get as much speed and use as little fuel as I could. So I was able to boost past a few cars at the start, but that's basically what it was. It was wait till I got the chance to slipstream and make the move into Tosa, which I think is where I made most of my places. And then from then I just ran my pace and said my prayers to the car gods that the engine would last, and so would the fuel.
We were really amazed that you were able to maintain the speed that you had throughout the race without running short of fuel, and that you were able to do it with the tires that you had selected. How was the tire wear during the race? Clearly, you had the fuel to spare.
It wasn't too bad, actually. The rears started going off a little bit towards the end of the stints, but nothing that I couldn't handle.
Well, we've got other people that we can bring into the room here. Oh, there's Anders. Congratulations, Anders, on an excellent drive today. The Tifosi definitely will be happy. The talk around the water cooler, though, is going to be of Coxon's spectacular flying stunt that happened late in the race. But how did your race go? I mean, not as hair-raising as that, but are you going to be having nightmares of Ligiers this week?
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a bit sneaky this time. I actually thought that he's gonna run out of fuel earlier than me, but he didn't.
He used to slipstream all the time to basically not need more fuel. I mean, at some point it became very evident in the broadcast that he was not trying to overtake you in any case. Were you also aware of that, I guess? So what were you thinking was going to happen in the last moments of the race?
I got aware that he was doing that because I moved to the right and I didn't want to pass, but I didn't want to back off too much from my tempo either to get the other guys to catch up with us again, because I don't know how far behind they were. So, and I had a good tempo, and I thought I tried to boost up and keep with him, but I couldn't. The car is just too fast. And he was too fast, and so I boosted down to save the engine, and I think I got lucky in the end because I think Wilkes were catching me quite fast at the end.
And we have one other Swede that we would like to converse with. It's Johnny Aces. Congratulations on wrestling that Osella to the finish.
Thank you very much. But I wouldn't say it was wrestling. It was more looking after the old girl and making sure to make her last to the end.
So, I mean, you were given that drive at the very last minute. So you had to get familiar with the car very quickly before you went out. What was your race like?
Well, fortunately for me, the Osella is a very nice handling car to drive. It has very few surprising quirks about it. So had it base up, got going, had a bit of a battle early on with the Minardis and my teammate and couple of the Haases, I think, Slapinski and Tim. But then the Haases flew away 10 laps in, and the others fell by the wayside, and then it was just nice, easy drive, trying to keep the car going, as I said earlier.
Yeah, it looked like you benefited from some of the attrition late in the race. Suddenly you were up into the teens. So, yeah, really nice drive, and good job taking a car at the very last minute. That's not easy to do. So the next round that we have is going to be Monaco, and that's coming up on March 7th. Any thoughts from you gentlemen on this race? Obviously, one of the crown jewels of the year, F1 86 or otherwise. What do you expect will transpire in the Principality on the Mediterranean? Start with our winner there, Miller.
Sorry, I missed that. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, just asking about Monaco. What do you think? What are you expecting from that race coming up?
I'm expecting it to be utterly terrifying.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have good memories from '91, so I hope to repeat it. So, yeah.
And for me, I'm hoping I will get a reprise drive. I really enjoy Monaco, and it's the one place where everything can happen and usually does, and anyone can score points. So
You enjoyed Monaco, you enjoyed the Ocellas. You're the champion of the lost causes, Jonathan. But it's always
Yeah.
great to have you in the grid.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be surprised if you get a telephone call from the Ocella team asking for you to drive again. So, but yeah, Ryan Walker, who's been with us in the booth for the second time for our new triad team in the booth. What do you think we can expect out of these gentlemen at Monaco?
Firstly, if, just going by form at the moment, finishing on the podium in the last couple of races, and tonight at Imola, I think Anders is probably one of the people to keep a lookout for at Monaco. I think he could be right up there challenging for the win, and I think yeah, he's got the pace, he's got the talent. I think he's got that racecraft as well, which could help in his favour. But also people like Grant Riddell, who put on a brilliant drive, he could be one to keep an eye on as well. But I think that the whole season in general, I think it's going to be a bit of a close one, and the battle for the championship will certainly be great to watch.
That's for sure. So that race is going to be in 2 weeks from today on March 7th. And then next Sunday, to close out February, it's the Coors 200, 1978 USAC, round 3 of 18. And I believe Johnny Aces will have the call with that one. But get ready for high-speed action on the high banks at Texas World Speedway. And then after we go to Monaco, we go back to the 1984 DRM Series. It's the first of our pseudo 1,000 kilometer races, actually 500 kilometers more or less. That's on Sunday, March 14th. Check the forum for the schedule there. That's going to be an interesting one on the modern Nürburgring short layout.
And for those racing both seasons, the USAC 78 and the Formula One 86, it's going to be the biggest change of pace possible, because we're going from the quickest track of the USAC trial to the slowest one in the Formula One.
Yes. So we'll be covering both ends of the spectrum quite well. All right. Well, I think it's time to close out the broadcast, but I'd like to thank once again Ryan Walker and Alberto Ibañez for excellent work in the booth. Thank you both very much. Hope you both have an excellent week. Always great to talk with you on these broadcasts. And congratulations once again to our winner, Dave Miller. For Jonathan and for Ryan, Dave, Anders, and Alberto, this is Jason White saying so long from Imola. We'll see you next time. Please be safe.